Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I am your host, Martino, and today is our Halloween special. I'm very excited to do this with a very special guest, which we'll get to in a minute. But before we get started here today, guys, please, if you haven't done so already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, hit that bell for notifications. I think a lot of you are going to be very happy with who I got here today, because a lot of you have been asking about him, making sure he's okay and shit, which we all appreciate, and he is perfectly fine. It is Mr. Cisco Scartozzi. Cisco, how you doing while I fix your camera here? Go ahead and speak.
Good. It feels good to be back and talking about horror movies, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So
Yeah,
I'm excited. Can't wait to get into it.
absolutely, man. Yeah, we're glad to have you. I mean, I really have had a lot of people asking about you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think we're all mad at each other or something, and that's just
Oh no,
absolutely
not at
not been the
all.
case.
Yeah.
With both you and Sammy, it's been the same kind of thing. Like, you guys were just pretty busy, so we couldn't
Yeah.
really sustain this anymore, which I think is pretty understandable, especially as a guy who was working 40 hours a week and doing this at the same time at one point. It was, yeah, I get it.
Inflation is not cheap. I'll
Oh
just
my
say
gosh, man. No, it's terrible. It's freaking terrible.
that. So
So yeah, guys, he's okay. He's right here. He and I are
yeah.
good. We're not feuding. We did watch
No.
me and Jose and Dave, which we'll talk to you guys about Dave here at some point for the audience
Hmm.
listening, because there's kind of an announcement ish with Dave, but we'll get to that at some point. Anyway,
Yeah.
so me, Jose, and Dave were like just hanging out like before the show, and we like went back. I don't remember how this all kind of came about, but we kind of went back
Uh-huh.
and watched you and I debating about Avatar back in the day. You
Oh
remember that
man.
big debate we had where,
Yes.
yeah, so the consensus was that I won the debate, and the consensus was also that you won the debate. It was split between Jose
Oh,
and Dave. So
okay.
nobody was I mean, it's just split down the middle, I think nobody's ever going to win that argument if
I
Avatar should go
mean,
back in the
yeah.
theater or not. And it did it again. So
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it could very well, the sequel could very well be like one of the best sequels ever
It's
made or
true.
whatever, and
Yeah,
I'll eat my words, but
it's true. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. It
No,
comes out in a couple weeks here.
yeah. To your credit,
So,
when it does come out in a couple weeks, which is crazy, but to your
yeah.
credit, I will say this. When it came back a second time, I was
Uh-huh.
like, okay, guys, this is getting ridiculous. Like, because they did it twice in a year, you know?
Yeah, they did.
Like
They
Rogue
did,
One
yeah.
coming back was one thing, and that made sense because Andor was coming and
Andor.
shit, and like,
Hmm.
and maybe if they had just done the one re-release now for Avatar, then maybe nobody would have been as upset about it making some more money because the sequel is coming so soon. But like
Yeah.
when they did it back in the day, I was like, to your credit, I can kind of get where you're coming from a lot more now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was, yeah,
The debates were fun though.
they were
That was
awesome.
another part of the show that I missed for sure.
When we went back and watched that, I had forgotten like how epic some of our debates actually got. Like they were pretty fucking epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all managed to stay friends at the end of the day. So it was
Yeah.
awesome, man.
It's all fun.
So we are going to talk about horror Halloween themed movies, depending on how you look at it, folks, but
Hmm.
before I do that, I did want to ask you really quick, and it's got some horror elements for sure, a lot more than I was
Hmm.
expecting in the finale. I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about House of the Dragon really quick. Have you checked it out? What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I actually just caught up with it this morning. I was behind for a while
Hmm.
there and then finally finished it. I am really enjoying it. I do have my issues with it. Mainly the time jumping was very like disorienting, especially because there's like so many names you have to try and remember.
Yeah.
Like if Game of Thrones tried to do that, when that was on, like it's just there's way too much to like try and remember while changing actors and stuff. So
There's a
uh
lot.
yeah.
I will hand that to you.
There's two characters named Eric and Eric, and they're just spelled differently, and they're two brothers that look exactly this. It's like they didn't make it easy. So, but
No.
the yeah, I actually wish they had like more of the horror elements. To be honest, like they had like I remember the first episode had like um what do you call that? Like the horse riding scene where they have like the sticks, the jousting.
Yep. Jousting. There
Eh,
you are.
yeah, and like some of those battles were like super gnarly, and I remember being like, oh man, like episode one they're going this gory, like I can't wait to see like where they go, and it really hasn't been as like gory as that since then.
No.
But every once in a while, there's like they do really well of like set pieces, I'll say, more than like horror shots where it's just like, oh man, that was like a huge moment that I wasn't expecting. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they set up season two like really perfectly, and
Yeah.
I'm ready to see like where it ends. I thought all the acting and of course like special effects were like top tier. So.
Yeah, I thought that final shot was so chilling. Just, well, I won't spoil it for people, but the final shot of the finale was kind of chilling.
Mm.
I think 1v1, if you're comparing it to the first season of Game of Thrones, I think this is a better first season, but it does have a lot of steep competition moving forward. I think seasons 3, 4, 5 of Game of Thrones to me are like, I hold those as like perfect seasons of television. So this has a lot to live up to when it comes to that. I don't know if it'll ever get there for me, but I'm still very impressed with how well they were able to keep it consistent with Game of Thrones. Like it feels very in universe, and there's like this sense of, how do I put it, like confidence behind it, I guess, when
Hmm.
it with it being made. So I really dug that about it for sure. I think it's definitely one of the better first seasons I've seen, which HBO typically does kill it on their first seasons. I mean
Oh yeah.
their first seasons are always typically some of their strongest. So that didn't surprise me at all, honestly, when it came to that. But all right, guys, look, let's talk about horror. And we do
Yeah.
have a list. We are gonna look at this Rotten Tomatoes. They're ranking it. Not that we typically agree with their ranking. It's just
No.
mainly at all. It's just kind of, we're using this for reference. So if we go in that same order of that list, that's why.
Hmm.
There is one I'm gonna kind of take out of order here because I wanted to start with this.
Yeah.
So Halloween ends. Don't say anything yet because I have a theory. I have a theory
Got
for
my
you. All right. So
Michael
my
Myers shirt on.
theory was, because you and I have been back and forth on these David Gordon Green movies actually since they started out. So because we've
Yeah.
disagreed on all of them. So I had this theory, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. I had thought to myself, if there's one that Cisco liked, it was this one, but he
Yeah.
probably still didn't like this one. So how do I land on that? How do you land on Halloween Ends?
Um, pretty close. I do think this is it's tough to say like which is my favorite one because like you said like I haven't been a fan of any of them really.
Right.
Um, yeah, so it is tough to say, but I will say that I think this movie has been like very critically overhated. I'll
Fair
say that.
enough.
Like uh I really appreciated that they try to like take it in a different direction, which I know like a lot of people didn't like that they did that.
Yeah.
Uh but because like I said, I haven't liked the whole Michael Myers Laurie storyline that they've been doing through the first two movies. I was like, okay, let's see who this Corey Cunningham guy
Yeah.
is, like, and his like relationship with Allison and how the town. It really reminded me of like Stephen King, which like I love
Yeah.
Stephen King,
Yeah.
of like kind of the town eating itself and kind of spitting out evil incarnate, which is like
Yeah.
anyone who says that isn't like Michael. That is what Michael Myers is. So I don't understand people kind of being I get the marketing kind of like uh baited people to come see the final showdown between Laurie and Michael. That's not the movie's fault. That's a completely marketing people are separate. They just want
Yeah.
to get people in seats. So
Yeah.
I really don't blame them.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe you can blame a little bit David Gordon Green and Danny McBride just because they kind of set up the two movies to this epic conclusion. But again, I really don't like those first two movies, so I really didn't like that. Those two movies weren't in the back of my mind. I did not go back and revisit either of them. I think 2018, the 2018 one was on TV, and I just had it on in the background. I really wasn't paying attention the other day, but
Yeah.
it's either this one or 28. There's things I like about this one, and there's things I like about the 2018 one.
Hmm.
But I think for both of them, I'm pretty split on.
Yeah,
They're both kind of middle of the road for me. There's things about even Halloween Ends that I think are still pretty sloppy, but I again I appreciate them for trying. I hope they take this energy into whatever the next Halloween movie is, because I'm kind of done with Michael Myers and Laurie
I
Strode. It's
agree.
my whole Skywalker thing. It's just like, let's move on. We have enough Skywalker movies. Let's get,
Yeah,
which Andor seems like from what I hear is completely different. So
oh,
I think
phenomenal. Yeah.
I'll like that too for the same reasons. But yeah, yeah. What did you think about it? That was my kind of feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you guys ended up watching my trailer reaction for this Halloween Ends movie, which I do have a non-spoiler review for as well, but I'll kind of reiterate my thoughts here. So I did not want more Laurie versus Michael. So
Yep.
I was really happy the marketing was kind of a misdirect. I typically am when it is, depending
Yeah.
on the situation, I guess. And in this movie, like you said, it was different. It took a big swing. I don't think all the risks paid off. Like there were some problems with this movie for sure.
No. Yeah.
But I still really had a good time. And with the Stephen King thing, I agreed with you on that because David Gordon Green did say he did take inspiration from Christine, which Carpenter, was based on a Stephen King book.
Yep.
And so I saw that inspiration. I like Christine. I thought that angle actually worked better for a Halloween movie, believe it or not.
I
So
like Christine too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. That was actually one of my favorite things about it, was the fact that it was doing something new. I thought that it actually made Laurie and Allison characters for once. Like
Yep.
they didn't feel so final girl, you know what I mean? Or typical
Hmm.
final girl. Like they were actually characters. So I like that. I even saw a couple scenes that reminded me of Lost Boys a little bit, just in terms of the vibe and the tone. So I really enjoyed that as well. Yeah, man, I enjoyed this movie. But you know me, I liked all three. So, but this
Okay.
one made me go back, rethink the last two, and actually like them a little bit more, if anything, because I could kind of see the lead in. But I did a marathon as well where I watched all four
Okay.
with the original. So that was, yeah. So I really enjoyed it, man. It was good. I thought it was, yeah, you're right. It's getting way too much hate, like over
Hmm.
nothing. It's kind of become one of those like toxic things again, actually. Like
Yep.
I've been seeing a lot of bullshit about it. Luckily nobody's said anything entirely rude to me on my comment thread, but it's
Hmm.
still one of those things where it's like, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
really
people need
understand
to
it.
chill like on both sides
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
the thing. Like, and I hate that you can't just like think a movie's okay anymore. Like I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was okay.
Yeah.
I still didn't even really love it, but like I've been arguing with like my brothers about it, like because they think that like I love it or something, and they want to like disprove me
Yeah.
like that it's a good movie. I'm like, look, I agree with you guys on certain things, but like everyone just needs to like take a
Yeah.
deep breath. But I think you have to look at every movie in the context too of like the series, the franchise, and this is definitely like one of the better Halloween
Yeah.
movies. Like the sequels, a lot of them, I'm sorry, like to the Halloween fans, are not very good.
No, they're
So
not.
I would, and I like that, like, Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. I think that's one of the best Halloween sequels. Michael Myers isn't even in that one.
Yeah.
And so I think they directly reference that with the font. The Halloween Ends font is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch font. So it's like it was almost like intentional that they were like saying, hey, this is not going to be your average Halloween movie. And yeah, Christine was actually on the other day too, and like
Mm-hmm.
I had it on the background, and definitely have seen some comparisons to that, and agree that it's like very similar of how a normal kid can kind of end up with, which again, like that's been done in the franchise before, but not really like in this way. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Rob Zombie even tried to do that like in the remake.
Sure did.
Uh, so yeah, and but like I said, like I don't think the sequels are very good, and I'll say this was like one of the only ones, or this is the only one of the David Gordon Green one where I actually watched it again, because I have it on Peacock. So I can't say that about the other two David Gordon Green ones, but this one I actually did watch it again. I booted it up again just to make sure my thoughts were the same. And I'm pretty much still split on it, like 50-50. So, yeah.
I think you're very correct in the sense
Yeah.
that a lot of people, and we're all guilty of this when we have something from our childhood, like a lot of people look at those old sequels through rose-colored goggles there a little bit
Yeah.
because it's very like not good, a lot of those. I mean, I like Halloween
Not at
too,
all.
but like other than
Yeah.
that, I'm not really huge on a lot of those sequels. Yeah, so to me it's like I don't know, but I'm not telling anybody what to like and not like. I'm just saying like there is a little bit of the rose-colored glasses a little bit when looking at those sequels from a lot of people, and they get so hardcore about their childhood opinions, and I
Hmm.
think that tends to be when this like toxicity pops up with these things, is when people have something from their childhood, they hold it near and dear to their heart, and they just get like, I guess, like overly passionate about shit. I don't know, but
I think like out of the big three like serial killer movies too, like Jason, Freddy, and Michael, like Halloween, it probably has like the best first movie
oh
out of all
yeah,
of them. But in terms of like franchise as a whole, I would say like it's probably the worst franchise out of all of them.
there's some
Like
pretty bad ones in there. Yeah, like,
because
there's some
like
pretty bad ones.
Nightmare, but for all the bad Nightmare sequels, you have cool ideas and
Yeah,
effects. And same thing with like Jason, like they have some wild, like even like the bad ones, like Jason Goes to Space, Jason X,
you can
like
have
there's
fun with
some,
those at least.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's some like fun qualities where like again, the Halloween thing, like how many times is is Michael Myers gonna come back to Haddonfield and just stab people? Like it just gets kind of old after a while. And I feel
yeah,
like they needed some new energy in this. And yeah, the opening scene in particular of Halloween Ends is like probably
shocker.
my favorite like set piece out of the whole David Gordon Green
Yeah,
trilogy. I thought it was almost like a short movie, like in the middle of it.
yeah,
Uh and I really enjoy. I thought even like up until the end and then into the opening credits, I was like, okay, this is a lot different
yep,
than
absolutely.
what I was expecting. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I even like the font too, by the way, when it was inspired by Halloween 3. I thought it was a nice
Yep.
touch. That was very cool as well. Halloween 3 has obviously been pretty, it's reappraised by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
And I think this one will be too.
I do too. Yeah, I agree with
I
you.
think
Yeah.
I've been telling everyone too that's been like really hitting it hard. I'm like, a lot of the same stuff that you guys are saying was said about Halloween 3, that Michael's barely in it. It's super weird and different.
Yeah.
And it's like those are the reasons that have made that movie like stand the test of time,
Yeah.
like so I think it's gonna be the same thing with Halloween Ends, but we'll see.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think you're very correct on that. All right, I don't want to spend too much time on Halloween. We do have a lot more to
Right.
get to, but yeah, guys, if in the comments let us know what you thought of Halloween and all that. And all these that we list off, we do want to hear your thoughts. So let's kind of go through this list. So I'll just ask you, did you see Sissy, which came out this year?
No, I actually think let's if you don't mind, like
Sure.
I'd rather just do it off of like I have a list here of stuff I have seen.
Oh,
And
yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
and
Narrow it down. Sure.
we'll just do it from like, since we're talking about one of the big killer franchises, let's go to another one. Have you seen
Go ahead.
the new Hellraiser?
I have not. I did not
Okay.
watch this yet, and I've heard great things. I was actually talking to a couple of my friends yesterday that told me to watch this. I'll tell you what, I love the original Hellraiser, and
Hmm.
after talking about bad sequels, after so many bad sequels, I've been
Yeah.
struggling to watch this one. And I know
Hmm.
that everybody says it's good, but I just don't know if I'm gonna like it personally. I am gonna watch it, don't get me wrong. It's just been one that's been harder for me to get to, if that makes sense, because of how much I love that original. So
I do get that. It is I mean, and then for even like talking about like how kind of middle of the road or like bad the Halloween franchise is,
mhm,
Hellraiser is like oof, like
yeah.
those sequels. I mean, half of them are like direct to video, so that's like all you
Yeah,
need to know there.
exactly. Exactly.
Um, I do like the first four Hellraisers though.
Yes.
I would put those up against the first four of Halloween, and I think those stand up really well.
Yeah.
And I did watch. I had never seen all of the Hellraiser like sequels before, so I actually did like
Mm.
binge all of them, and it was not a fun time. I'll say that. Like there,
Oh,
a lot of them are really, really bad, and I will never rewatch them. But this new one is definitely one of the best sequels for sure. Like out of the franchise. I mean, it's not saying much. It's not like a high bar, but like I thought like the different there's things that they veered away from that I liked. I know like again talking about toxic fandom, how you know Pinhead is a trans woman and that got everybody like riled up. Like I thought she did fine. I thought the new Cenobites looked cool, and it had some
nice.
of the some gnarly deaths in it. And just overall, I just think it was like a solid like 2 hour Hellraiser
Okay.
movie, and it's a lot of those Hellraiser sequels too are like barely even about like the box or Cenobites. Like they're so it's clearly just like movies they like fit Pinhead into them.
Yeah.
And this one is like actually like no, it is about the lament configuration, and you know they add some new twists to like the box. So yeah, I think you might like it, and it's on
All
Hulu
right.
right now, so it's like really easy. And I actually I wanted to rewatch this one, but I haven't gone back yet. But this was another one where I was like surprised that I wanted to even go back to watch
Nice.
it because
Okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I am gonna check it out. I mean, it was one of those trailers too. I wasn't very impressed with the trailer, and when it came out, I didn't even do a reaction. I was just kind of like, "What is this straight to Hulu shit?" Which I was proven wrong on this year, by the way, about straight to Hulu horror movies being good because Prey came out,
I was just gonna say,
and
you want to talk about that? That's
let's
another
go ahead. Yeah.
big killer like monster franchise. Yeah, I thought Prey was great.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was, and the same thing. A lot of those Predator sequels, not very good, middle of the road. Especially this last The Predator
That
movie
was bad. Yeah.
was terrible. Shane Black's Predator movie. But Prey I thought was like back to basics.
Yes.
I thought putting it like in the 1700s was very smart.
Yeah.
That way, it's like no weapon. Like it's not. It's you can't just like shoot it. You have to like actually outsmart it, bringing it back to like the original with Arnold and everything. And again,
Mm.
toxic fandom and oh my God, she's a Mary Sue and how is she beating a predator?
Right.
I don't give a shit. It was a good movie. And they do establish that she's like Native
Right.
American,
Right.
has these survival skills. So a lot of people like don't even see these movies that they complain about. They're just like talking out of their ass. So yeah, if you haven't seen Prey yet, that one's also on Hulu. And I did rewatch this one. I watched this one twice too. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I
Yeah.
definitely am a massive fan of the original Predator. Like I love it, and like you said, I mean, I think Predator 2 has its redeemable qualities for sure.
I think all of them do. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
even like Predators kind of has a cool
I like
concept,
Predators, yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't like love it like I love that original, you know what I mean? But I do
No.
like it. I do like Predators, and then the
The original is
Predator
like
was
one of the best
garbage.
action movies like ever made. Like it's really hard to even
Yeah, and
yeah.
I would say Prey is the best since the original. That's my take on it. And if anybody had told me, honestly, I think it's so good that if anybody told me it was their favorite of all the Predators, I wouldn't call them crazy because it's
Yeah,
pretty
I think
freaking solid.
I think it's easily the best, yeah, the best since the original.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've seen people say that about Hellraiser. I can't go quite that far. I think the first two Hellraiser movies to me
I
are
was gonna
just like
say Hellraiser 2 is great. It's
yeah.
great.
But
Yeah.
I think that's like a shoe in for like third or fourth for
Fair enough.
Hellraiser. Yeah, and then but yeah, for Prey, I think that's yeah, if someone's put as their number one, I get it. I love the Arnold one so much. So but
Hmm.
yeah, Prey was really good too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of horror franchises, there was one I checked out recently that's, I guess, kind of a new franchise, you could say, and that is the X Pearl situation going on with Ty West.
Yeah.
Uh, so my opinion of these is very high. I will tell you right now. I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
X is amongst the best movies I've seen this year,
Hmm.
and Pearl is a real toss up now with Elvis for my favorite movie of the year. I was so blown away by both of these. Pearl
Yeah.
especially just like went the extra mile. And I have been a Ty West fan, by the way.
Yeah.
I do
Same.
like House of the Devil a lot, and
Yep.
Innkeepers is pretty good.
Hmm.
This I never expected him to go to though. Like I never expected him as a director to go down this kind of route. Like, and I am just overly impressed by both of these movies. I think these are my two favorite movies of his now. And even though House of the Devil has a special place in my heart, I can objectively look at these and be like, this is the best filmmaking he's ever pulled out. I don't know. What did you
Yeah.
think of these?
So pretty much in agreement. I will say that like X, I was kind of like lukewarm on X, I guess, and
Okay,
I think maybe it was just because like it was so hyped. You know what I mean? Like going
maybe.
into it,
Yeah,
and like people being like, "Oh my God, like this is like the best horror movie in years," and blah blah
yeah,
blah, and like this is Ty West return. When I don't think he really like left. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah.
still
No,
think
he never
I
left.
yeah, he did take a break, but
Yeah,
like people were acting like he never made like a good movie before or something, or I
right.
don't know, like, and it's just like I wouldn't put it above House of the Devil for
Okay,
sure, like
fair
X,
enough.
but there was some like cool moments and stuff. Like I did
Yeah,
like it well enough. But I loved Pearl.
Pearl was.
I mean, I just posted about it the other day that I think it might be my favorite horror movie. Out of all the ones we talk about today, it's probably like
Yeah,
the one I've thought about the
I
most
agree with you. Yeah.
since I saw it. And like, I mean, Mia Goth, I like
Wow.
I in a just world, like she would be nominated for an
I was
Oscar
gonna
for
say if
Pearl.
she doesn't
Like,
get nominated, I don't know what this world's coming to. I know the Oscars don't like horror movies. Oscars the Grouch, right? But
yeah,
they really need to nominate Mia Goth. This is too good of a performance to just ignore and leave by the wayside here. I thought it was
it's
incredible.
so impressive, and like so much more than what she did in X. Like
Oh yeah,
she has more to do, but it's just like the amount of like, she made me feel bad for this like psycho killer. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I actually felt, and only like the best horror movies really can make me feel that sympathy, like Carrie, for
yeah,
example, of like the victim turned killer. Like it just, yeah, it really worked for me all the way into the end credits, which is
yeah.
like one of my favorite end credits. And then I can't wait to see how he tops off like this trilogy of movies with Mia Goth. Like I think they're on a really good
Yeah.
hot streak now, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it might be my favorite over House of the Devil too, just because
Uh-huh.
House of the Devil is very like um kind of Rosemary's Baby. Like
Very.
he's like wearing his influences on his sleeve in that one.
Yeah.
And I think Pearl is like him like coming into his own, like, hey, like
Yeah.
I can do this, and a lot of people didn't expect that I
Yeah.
could do this, but it was a flex for sure. Like I
It's
really like
yeah.
Pearl.
It's very original. I mean, there is a scene where you'll know what I'm talking about immediately. She has like a 7-minute monologue, and it is like the
Yes,
most
yeah.
entrancing thing I think I've seen on the screen all year. It's
And
really
it never
wonderful.
cuts. It never cuts
Never
on
cuts.
that whole thing. So
It's
yeah,
unbelievable.
she did
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I love Pearl, man. I'm glad that you're of the same mind on this because I was watching this. I was like, dude, if people don't like this movie, I don't know what to tell them because this is like,
Yeah.
unless you just don't like horror movies, then I would get it. But like, for horror, this is like quality. Like, this is some of the best horror I've seen in a while. So,
And I've been recommending it to people too, because I've seen like some like apprehension of like, I haven't seen X yet. I'm like, dude, it does not
you don't
matter.
need to watch
Like
X to
just
watch it either. Yeah,
no,
you
just
can
watch Pearl.
appreciate it.
It
Yeah,
holds up so good on its own. And I've actually been curious to kind of revisit X since then to see if maybe like I
yeah,
like it better because of Pearl. I haven't had the chance to do that yet, but
yeah.
I might. I don't know. I might like it better
I
now that Pearl's out.
I watched X first, and I almost wish I didn't. I almost wish I kept it till the second. I knew Pearl was a
Yeah.
prequel, but I just wasn't sure due to the release how much I was going to need to understand from X. Like on one hand, I am glad I watched X first because there are definitely like nuances you could pick up on, but
Oh
on the
yeah.
other hand, it would have worked just as well as the sequel, I think, if not better. So yeah, I was really enjoying both of those. I really liked X a lot. Like I loved it actually, but
Mhm.
Pearl next level love for that. I mean, that is one that I'm gonna go back to a lot, you know. So that was a big surprise for me, honestly. I was so freaking shocked. Now, this isn't like a horror franchise, but I did want to bring this up because it's definitely one I saw this year.
Okay.
And I don't know how you land on this. I mean, it's horror in the sense like it's Halloween themed, but not in the traditional sense, I guess. So my question for you is, how do you land on the Hocus Pocus franchise? I know it's like a
Oh,
different route there, but
yeah, I haven't actually seen the sequel.
okay.
Yeah, I like asked my girlfriend, I was like, hey, because she watched it and I was like, is it do you think I'll like it? And she just said no.
Okay. All right. No, fair
And I
enough.
was like, and I took her advice, like she knows my like kind of tastes, and I like the first one well
Uh
enough, but I'm not one of those like super fans that's like been waiting all these years for a sequel necessarily, so
yeah.
I don't know if I like was like around like my little cousin or nephew or something like that and they wanted to watch it, I would, but it just doesn't
Yeah.
seem like something I would be into. But have you
Okay.
seen it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. And I'll tell you what, I just to give you background, I don't like the first movie.
Okay.
It's one of those things that's just kind of never been for me. Does that make sense? Like, I understand the love for it because it is like so different from a lot of other like
It was like the
childhood
perfect
movies.
for if you were the perfect age for that,
Yeah.
like for that kind of spooky Disney like horror stuff, like then it really like hit you. But I just wasn't uh I probably was the right age, right? It just I'm with you. It never really was like
Yeah.
an essential movie for me. Like it was fine.
Yeah, like I don't have like an extreme hate for it. It's just one of those I've always said it's not for me. I'm not a part of the
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus fandom. Like I don't understand. I understand the love, but I don't share the love. Does that make sense for Hocus
Yes.
Pocus? Where it's like I get
Yeah.
because my sisters grew up on it and they love it, but it's just never been one for me. So I was hesitant to watch the second movie because I thought it was gonna put me to sleep, and everything. I was like, because I just that's kind of how I was with the first one. Every time it's on TV and
Yeah.
somebody puts it on, that's okay. I'm good with it, but I use it for a cure for insomnia. So it's never been for me. I like the second one. I thought
Okay.
this was really charming. Like honestly, it's nothing spectacular. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it at least goes down a route to where I had great sympathy and relatability for the characters in it, if that makes sense, without giving too much away about it. Because
Okay.
it actually, I think it did the first movie justice. Like, I have heard some fans not like the second one, and again, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I think it really went out of its way to try to make something very good. And I was surprised for something that went straight to Disney Plus that it was as good as it was. Because, again, like I said, it's not perfect. There's some CGI decisions that I'm like, what the hell? And
Yeah.
there's definitely like, but sometimes, I mean, I would say like overall, like cinematography is actually
Yeah.
good for something that was on Disney Plus. It
Was it
definitely
like
had
the
enough
same
money, but
director or like who directed it? I
I'm
don't
pretty
even.
sure it was. I don't
Okay.
hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it was.
I can check.
But I kind of got caught up, even though the first one's never been for me. I kind of got caught up in the nostalgia of it. And again, I just like the direction it went, and it actually did something cool to where it sets up a third movie
Okay.
that I think can actually be something new for it. And I like when franchises try to inject something new, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
so I kind of get caught up in that a little bit too when there's something kind of original going on, or it's at least trying to go into a more original direction for the future. I'm perfectly okay with that. And the ending kind of got me choked up a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I was surprised by how much the emotional impact hit me for somebody who doesn't really enjoy the first movie. So yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought it was charming enough. It got some chuckles out of me. Yeah, it was good. It was fine.
Cool. Yeah, like I think to segue off of this here on the Disney Plus
Yeah,
train, they don't do a lot of horror stuff, but we can talk about I guess you can call it like the first horror movie in the MCU, which is Doctor Strange 2.
yeah,
In the multiverse of madness, Sam Raimi, who I know like we've talked about before, one of my favorite directors of all
mine
time.
too. Yeah,
And I was very highly anticipating this just because it's been a long time since he's directed not only just a movie, but like a horror movie. He did Drag Me to Hell in like 2008 or something. So that was like the last horror movie I think he did. And I'll just start off like I have not been a fan of this phase of the MCU
Yes.
at all. I've been pretty, outspoken, like lukewarm is
Mhm.
like been my like highest recommendation like for like all of these films. Like one, not any of them have blown me away. And I would say like Doctor Strange didn't really like blow me away either. But it is probably like my favorite of this new, what is it, phase four are we
Phase
on?
4, yep.
Yeah, it probably is my favorite just because it's like for once I could feel the director through kind of like Marvel's kind of like setting up sequels bullshit, like
Yeah.
and like having to set up all these characters and all this lore. Like it was like, oh no, there's like Zombie Strange and like
Yeah.
weird fight sequences with like
Yeah.
music notes and stuff like that, where I was like, this is like so creative and like why I love Sam Raimi. And I know I got like some flack from, again, like the fandom is like it's a lot different than like your average MCU film, but again, that is why I liked it.
Yeah.
I, I like when filmmakers take these swings,
Mhm.
put their own personality into
I
it,
agree.
and I watched this one twice. I watched it when it went to I saw it in theaters, and then I saw it when it came to Disney Plus. And yeah, my opinion hasn't changed. I think it's a fun movie for the most part.
Yeah, I'll tell you a really kind of interesting, funny thing about this, and you've probably experienced this with a lot of the audience for it. So, first of all, let me start here. I liked WandaVision fine in Phase 4. I just didn't think the finale delivered the punch I needed, and to me,
Yeah,
this
I agree.
kind of made up for that, if that makes sense. Like, I looked at this as the true WandaVision finale. Like, that's how I looked at this movie.
Yeah,
And you're right. It was refreshing to step away from having to set up a bunch of things and just kind of have some fun with one of these for once. And
yeah,
I I was really high on Shang-Chi. I'm one of the few people that
yeah,
liked Eternals, but for the most part, I'm kind of with you. It's been a little lukewarm this phase of Marvel, and
yeah,
this was a nice breath of fresh air. I gotta be honest. And I'm also a massive Sam Raimi fan. I remember I walked out of the theater and my buddy was with me, and he asked me, he's like, "So was this your favorite one?" And I was like, "Sam Raimi movie or Marvel?" Because it is so Sam Raimi, that
yeah,
I was actually questioning what he meant by that question. So, and he
hmm,
actually meant Marvel because I have a buddy who thinks this is the best Marvel movie. I disagree with that, but
yeah. I
it
don't
is
think so
it
either.
it is great and
Yeah,
a real nice, like I said, refreshing take. And I had talked to Sammy after I got out of this movie. I'll give you a quick Sammy story here. And I think at the time I was in this spot where I was like, this might be my favorite MCU movie, but I think it was because it was so refreshing. Obviously, I've gone down on
yeah.
that a little bit. I mean, I actually personally
It
like
just has
Shang-Chi
been
better,
such a
but
long time. It's easy to try, you know what I mean, when a movie
it's
comes
yeah.
along and it's like it kind of gives you that like, oh man, I
Yeah.
remember why I like the MCU again. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
And it was one of those things too. I mean, we had the pandemic where we had like 2 years of droughts, and just so it was just nice to have something that was so entertaining in the theater again. Even though,
Yeah.
again, I think Shang-Chi to me is just slightly better. That's my take. I know a lot you disagree, and that's fine. But I
Hmm.
had talked to Sammy after this. I said, I don't know, this might be my favorite MCU movie, and she was like, honestly, she agreed. Loved the Sam Raimi of it all and all that. I talked to her on the show the other day, and she's like, I really don't like that movie anymore. So okay,
What?
and she was like,
Wow.
I asked her, she was like, she hated the inconsistencies with Wanda, and I'm like, well, it's not
Yeah, a lot of
that
people have been like
inconsistent, but
saying that like WandaVision kind of like uh it kind of like reneged on Wanda's character, I guess, like how
yeah,
she ended in WandaVision.
yeah,
But I'm like, not really, because at the
no,
end of
the
WandaVision,
post
the
credit,
post-credit scene,
right,
they set it up to where
yeah,
she is in Doctor Strange. So
yeah,
it might feel that way just because like, but she definitely at least for me at the end of WandaVision, I didn't fully like forgive her. Like I was
yeah,
like, you completely like took over a whole town and like killed people.
yeah.
Like
I agree.
Like,
I'm with you.
so I didn't think her like swing in Doctor Strange 2 was like that unbelievable. And
Yeah.
like, and even like the um what was it, the cameos in the middle, I thought was like another thing where like Marvel's known for all these like kind of like needless cameos. And like the fact that like Sam Raimi went in
Yeah.
and did what he did with those cameos was just like chef's kiss. Like I was like, if you're gonna do those
Yeah.
type of cameos, I love the subversion of what he did. And yeah, I mean, and even like special effects wise, I think like this new phase has gotten a lot of heat, like
Hmm.
warranted heat for some of these bad
Absolutely.
effects. But
Yeah.
I think Doctor Strange visually like looks better than a lot of like most of the Phase 4 that I've seen, films that I've seen. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah.
And the other thing that's interesting too is, funny enough, just like Sammy, we were doing a show. I can't remember what the topic was, but Jose was on the show. And then Jose was just like, he started going on this rant talking shit about Multiverse of Madness. And I'm like, dude, I got fucking receipts. You and I did the spoiler review when you were hyping it
Yeah,
up.
I
What
watched
the
it.
fuck
I think I
happened?
watched it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, what happened? Because I was like, I got receipts, motherfucker. You better be careful about what you say. And
It
yeah,
yeah, when it went to video, a lot of people kind of it was like lukewarm
yeah,
upon reception to positive. And when it
yeah,
like came on Disney Plus, a lot of people I saw were changing their tune for some
yeah.
whatever reason.
I don't know what happened, honestly, but
Yeah.
like, honestly, like, I've pretty much, like I said, it's not my favorite MCU movie, but like, I have pretty much stayed fairly consistent with my opinion on it. I still think
Yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen gave one of her best performances in the
Oh,
MCU, if
she's
not
great.
the best.
Yeah,
And
she's great.
I thought it gave Benedict Cumberbatch some real fun things to do that he hadn't tried out before, and I loved seeing that in the MCU for sure. So yeah, to me it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, like you said, the cameos were, they did it in a different way this time, and it
Yep.
wasn't like just this fan service thing. It was a little bit more of a subversion of, probably what people expected from the cameos. I mean, I never expected it to go to the lengths and level of horror that the movie did.
And the violence, which is like
Right.
so sanitized in the MCU. Wanda was like pretty, like as far as villains go, she
Yeah,
was ruthless in Doctor
absolutely.
Strange. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I get that there's definitely going to be things in this movie that, like, unless you're on the Raimi train,
It's
you're
not
not going to
perfect.
be on board with it. Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's not perfect. I have problems with it, but like it's still a fun time. It's still one of the best times
Yeah,
out of the Phase 4 movies that I can say.
yeah,
And I can't really say that about like Eternals and Black Widow were just like such like downer times for me. I really didn't feel any joy watching those movies, you know what I mean? And
hmm,
so to have Doctor Strange 2 kind of spark that again was hopeful. And I hope, I go into all these Marvel movies hoping that I love them. And so Wakanda Forever comes out pretty soon here too, and I'm fully expecting to love that and hoping to love that because I loved the first Black Panther like
yeah,
so much, and that's one of my favorite Marvel movies easily. So
yeah.
yeah.
I gotta say, I gotta agree with you on one thing. I think Eternals is a very down, sort of depressing movie.
Yeah.
I just happen to like it. I don't disagree with anybody that says it's a
Yeah.
little bit somber comparatively, but
I
like,
tried. I
yeah,
tried and I was like, yeah, I tried, and my kind of estimation kind of went down on that one on
yeah,
rewatch, to where like the movie theater I think kind of helped with the spectacle of it
hmm,
maybe, and then when I watched it on Disney Plus again
interesting.
with my brother, I really didn't think it held up at all. Like I just was like,
Yeah,
man, this movie is like so slow,
it's very
and
slow. I agree.
the pacing sucks in it, like like
Yeah,
but Chloe Zhao again, like they do bring in these kind of filming. I just wish they would let them uh do their thing. And I mean, like visually there's some really cool things in it.
yeah.
I just think the story was just like way too all over the place
Mm.
for Eternals for me. But
Yeah, I just happen to like these, like, super, like, I thought the concepts were real big and they were, trying to go for something with them, and I actually
yeah.
really enjoyed that about it. But I get it's not going to be for everybody. I mean, the movie is
Yeah.
just this kind of big epic, and that's not what we're typically used to. And that's
Hmm.
fine. Like, I'm not dissing anybody for not liking it. Like I said, I agree with the criticisms. It's somber, it's slow, Yeah, but I like it. But
Yeah.
they have been taking some swings. You can't take that away from Marvel. And another way that they took a swing this year was doing their first Halloween special with Werewolf by Night,
Yeah, I
which
haven't seen that
you
yet, but
haven't watched it yet. Okay.
I heard it's good.
I love it. It is
Okay.
like, as far as phase four things go, this is kind of right up there for me with Multiverse of Madness. I might even like this a little more than Multiverse of Madness, even with the 55-minute
Interesting.
runtime. This is solid stuff, dude. They
Okay.
took risks with this for sure. And you talk about the violence of Multiverse of Madness without giving much away. They upped the game with the violence
Okay.
in this, and they obviously, like, I was kind of watching it and I was like, yeah, they had to do it in black and white because that way parents can point at the screen and be
I
like,
was
it's
gonna ask
oil.
that. It's in black and white, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, so that way parents can say the blood stains are oil to their kids or something. That's kind of my take on it. But
Okay.
I think the black and white also adds to it. Like, I thought it was a real
Mhm.
smart move and a real nice risk for them to do. And Michael Giacchino directed it, by the way, which is very
Oh wow.
fascinating because the first thing he's ever directed, and he needs to direct more, man. He has a
Yeah.
handle on it. He's been in the movie industry a long time, and it shows. And he clearly has a love for horror. And what I loved about it, without giving it away again, is like, it manages to stay in universe, and it's kind of like what you were saying about Multiverse of Madness without having to worry about so many connections, which is really refreshing. And I like that about it. I like that it takes itself not so seriously, if that makes sense. It's not like it's trying to be this like innovative MCU thing, but at the same time, that's kind of what makes it innovative. It's just very much like, it feels kind of like a one-off. You know, it almost feels like out of universe, but it's still in universe at the same time. It's actually pretty cool how he did that. But I gotta say, it has some of the best werewolf sequences I've seen in a long time in anything. So that's my personal take. I loved Werewolf by Night. I highly recommend you check it out. It's a 55-minute watch. I mean, it's really really good. So
I
uh
have to check it out. And I think while we're here
yeah,
and we're talking about werewolves, we could talk about Morbius, which is the vampire MCU film, and even like Moon Knight. I guess those are like the two other like
sure,
horror adjacent
yeah,
uh things that Marvel has been doing.
yeah,
Obviously Morbius is like under Sony, the Sony banner.
yeah,
Um
the spunk.
yeah. I saw Morbius in theaters. Did not love it. I didn't like it at all.
I didn't see it.
I won't spend too much time on it. I just think it's a hot mess.
That's what I hear.
Um yeah. I mean, like I don't even really like the Venom movies, but I would much rather, watch those again before I watch Morbius.
Yeah,
um, you want to talk about like just downer, times at the movies, with not much fun to be had. The only fun in Morbius is Matt Smith. He is having like the time of his life,
that's what I hear.
as the villain. Like if you do see it, on I think it was on Netflix for a while. If you do watch it, just skip to his parts because
All
he's
right.
like he's having a ball. He's chewing up the scenery, but as far as like Jared Leto goes and just story wise,
Yeah,
it was all over the place. And even on a horror level, I don't think it like really works. It really didn't lean into it at all. So
yeah,
just wanted to mention that first. And then Moon Knight, I watched too when that was still on. I
yeah.
watched it kind of live every week, when
Mhm.
it was dropping episodes. And it's another. I haven't really been big on any of these Marvel shows either, and I do think like I appreciate that they try to do some different things, and that Oscar Isaac like was fully committed, but again, story wise, it just really did not do anything for me. And I thought the action too was like really lacking, which like usually the Marvel at least has that down. But they try to do story over action, which again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think like it was all there. And but Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac,
Mhm.
did a fairly good
Yeah.
job with that. And yeah, I don't know. What did you think about it though?
Sure. Yeah. Real quick, I'll go back to Morbius just for a quick second to say, I'm not big on the Venom movies either. So like when this one came out and it had very lukewarm to bad reactions, I was just like, there's no reason for me to rush out and see it. So that's kind of
No,
the reason I
it
haven't
is
watched it.
streaming though. I think it
I think
was
it's
on
on
Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah, I
So
think you're right.
if you do watch it, I mean, don't spend money on it though.
Yeah, no. I'll probably I was thinking about maybe checking it out before Halloween and just doing like a singular review of that,
Yeah.
just like, hey, I missed this earlier, but let me just go ahead and talk about it. Jose liked it, so I don't know. But he likes the Venom
Oh wow.
movies, so I don't know. The
Yeah.
but he didn't like Multiverse of Madness. Interesting. But
Much better movie than Morbius.
I feel like you're going to be right about that. But the
Huh.
the thing about Moon Knight is that like I think as far as the MCU shows, it's not my favorite of the shows, but it's one of the better ones, if that makes sense. Like,
Okay.
and I'm kind of like you. There hasn't been an MCU show I just like yet. Like I'm waiting on
Yeah.
that, but
Even WandaVision, I'm with you. Like the ending kind of let
it
me
was
down
great
on
up
that.
until that,
Yeah.
right? I,
Yeah.
things I like about Moon Knight, like you said, I do like that it's a risk. It kind of goes down the horror path again. I mean, it's our first kind of like introduction to the MCU doing that, which is really nice. I do like a lot of the psychological diversion in it. I think that a lot of that really works. I think that's another one that, again, its finale had some missteps mainly.
Oh yeah.
I think
It
that's where it
really lost me
struggled.
in the finale. Yeah.
I think that's where Moon Knight mostly struggled, but it was nice to see some top tier performers. Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, they
Yeah.
both just did phenomenal with the material. And I think that the penultimate episode is one of the best MCU episodes that I've seen because they really did a good job diving into his backstory and showing you, kind of how it did a good job handling that kind of mental health situation. So like I've
Mhm.
heard some people say it was a insult to mental health. I don't think so. I think it did a good job handling that in a pretty grounded way because of that penultimate. Now if that penultimate wasn't there, I might be having a different conversation with you, but
Yeah.
because they did dive into the backstory and all that and show like his real trauma, that I thoroughly enjoyed. The hippopotamus, yeah,
Oh
I
man,
didn't need that.
yeah.
That could I do love the hippopotamus song that Oscar Isaac did, but outside of that, I don't really care about the hippo. That
And
other
that
th-
was another one. That was another one. Benson and Moorhead. I like their other films that they did before, and even like
mm,
Loki, they worked on it. But I just I think sometimes it's just the Marvel machine. I think like some of these auteurs just get kind of crushed under it and don't get to like fully do what they want to do necessarily.
yeah.
Because you can see some of those like kind of they really have some out there ideas
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
their movies, and so I think like Moon Knight was like kind of a good pick if
hmm
they were gonna do like a Marvel property. But like you said, I don't think it just came together in the end for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
I mean, again, as far as MCU shows go, I liked it. I just didn't love it. Like it just didn't
Mhm.
have the impact. I did like a lot of the Egyptian lore too. Like I thought that was cool. That reminded me it was very kind of Indiana Jones in its approach to that. So I
Yeah,
enjoyed that stuff too. Other than that, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's just it kind of missed the mark. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it was good though. I liked it. It was fine. So that's where I'm at.
yeah.
All right. So look, we do have like other horror movies to get to, but I want the audience to definitely, keep commenting on these if you've seen them, if you haven't seen them. I mean, just kind of, let us know what you think. I want to ask you really quick because this was kind of a unique horror situation that came out this year that I didn't get around to. Did you see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies?
It's so funny you bring that up. I have it. I just rented it from
Oh
Redbox today.
wow.
I haven't got a chance to watch it yet though.
I haven't seen it yet
It's
either, but I'm
it's
looking
literally
forward to
like
it.
in my living room right now, like queued up to go.
Yeah,
But I didn't get around to it yet though. No.
I haven't seen it yet either. I mean, obviously, I think A24 has done some phenomenal stuff, so I'm really looking forward to seeing it. But there's another part of me that like really doesn't want to watch it. I don't know if that makes sense because like based on the
No. Yeah.
trailer, this one was a lot more seems to be playing into that sort of like Gen Z stereotype, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of the way
Yeah.
I was looking at it. But that could also be something that benefits it too at the same time, I think. So it just really depends on how they go about it. I'm just not really
Yeah.
sure. Are they gonna
And
like,
so and a
I don't
lot of
know.
the reviews that I've read have kind of been split.
Yeah.
I think based on that kind of like tone, like that the tone went too far for them or
Yeah.
whatever and didn't work. But then other people are saying that, oh no, they're like making fun of Gen Z, you know what I mean? And like they're in on the joke. And so it is a tough line to balance. I think that's a good segue though to probably the film that it looks most similar to in another franchise is Scream, which
Yes.
did come out in January, so it is a 2022 movie. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I don't think we've gotten a chance to talk about it, but
No.
for the fifth movie in a like franchise, I thought this one was like really well done. Like I had a really and like speaking of like fun times at the movies, like I took my brother to see this. We marathoned all four before we went to go see it, and yeah, it was like a really it gave me that feeling of seeing when I first saw the original Scream movies, and trying to like guess the killer, which I will say too,
Mm-hmm.
within the first couple of minutes of the movie, guessed who Ghostface was
Mm-hmm.
perfectly. So I was like, and my brother at then, how did you know? And I just was like, I'm a fan of these movies. Like I just if you pay attention enough, and I do like the whole riff on other horror movies that they did a good job bringing in like the A24 stuff in this one, and elevated horror. I thought it was like really smart how they went about it, and even like putting in the legacy characters again, which is like a tough thing that I think the David Gordon Green movies really struggled with,
Mm-hmm.
to really fit Lori and her family in it. But I
Right.
think like Nev Campbell coming back, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, I think they all like welcome back. Like I was like welcome back. It's like they never left, and it sucks that like Nev Campbell is not going to be in the next one, I guess, for whatever reason. But at the same time, my thoughts are similar to the Halloween franchise, where it's like, how many more times are we going to do this, guys? Of Nev Campbell running away from Ghostface? Like we've done it 5 times now.
Yeah. No, it's fair
So
enough.
I think if they focus on the new blood, I'm totally down for that. And
Yeah.
it Jenna Ortega, this was like this and X. I was like, man,
Yeah.
who is this chick?
It's pretty good.
She is like amazing in Scream particularly too. I thought so. Yeah, but yeah, what did you think?
Yeah. Okay. So to preface this, I'm a massive fan of the Scream franchise.
Yeah,
The original is my favorite of the bunch. Still, I'll go ahead and say that right off the bat. But
same. Yeah,
I think the rest have been pretty consistent. Honestly,
yeah.
like I haven't
It's
had
one
a
of the
lot of
more
issues with them.
consistent. Again, more than Halloween.
A
I'd
lot
say it's a
more.
more consistent than Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, they've had less chances to screw up than Halloween, but still, they've done a great job with what they've gotten. And
Yep.
I would say I think Scream 2 is a real great sequel. I think Scream 3 is the weakest, but not bad, if that makes sense.
I no, I'm with you.
And
I like some stuff in three. Yeah.
yeah, and I thought Scream 4 was actually it delivered a real big punch for me. Like I really liked 4. 5, I was obviously hesitant, due to the lack of Wes Craven, but then when I found out who was involved, I was like, oh yeah, because I love the Ready or Not team, man. I
Yeah.
thought Ready or Not was awesome. And
Same.
and so I was so on board for this. And I gotta tell you, man, it's a Scream movie, and they did a good job. I thought this was a
Yes.
lot of fun. I had a blast with this movie. Now, is it my favorite? No, but
Nah.
I would say, there's definitely a couple little pacing issues here and there with it. I did think it dipped in the pace just a couple little times, not like much, but to keep it as relevant as they managed to do, and then like you said, have the new blood mix that in with the old blood. I mean, that
It
was
was
a
tough. It's
difficult
a tough,
task.
tough task, and I think they did a real nice job with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say.
No, it's
But
fine. I was just gonna say that, like, I think that a lot of the people, because I've heard some pretty harsh criticisms on this one too. At the same time, I've also heard people
yeah,
love it, but I don't think the people who are giving it harsh criticisms have really considered what they're up against with this sequel. And I thought it was a nice, like, natural way to do it. Now I'm going to say something kind of unpopular about this franchise. So hear me out entirely before you get on me. So David Arquette, who I love, by the way,
Same.
I love him as a dude, but David Arquette,
Dewey.
Dewey, absolutely,
Yeah.
but
Iconic.
he is iconic. But I've never thought he was this like terrific ass actor. I'll be honest, but I love his presence in these movies. Does that make
But
sense?
he's the perfect
He is the
Dewey though.
perfect Dewey. You're not wrong.
I can't see anyone else, and the fact that him and Courtney Cox like actually like dated at one point, like if you watch those like Scream sequels, you can see
You
like the
can.
love on
It's there.
screen.
You're right.
They really do love each other, and so that's one thing I like when I go back to watch just for them, because I think they're a good couple in this franchise. They keep going back to them,
100% correct.
for a reason.
I'm not disagreeing
Yeah.
with that. Like I do, he's never an unwelcome presence, despite his acting ability in these. This one, I thought he gave his best performances to me.
Yeah. No, I'd
He
agree with
was
that.
great in this movie, and I was
Yeah, he was
shocked.
good.
I was shocked by how good he was, and I had seen him in. He's a very small part in Bone Tomahawk, and I was
Oh, I
like,
forgot he was in that.
I've never seen him act so well. I wish he would bring that energy to the Scream movies, and in this one he did. So
Mhm.
that was awesome. And the route they take his character without giving it away was kind of surprising, but I think a necessary risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The and Courtney Cox and Nev Campbell, that chemistry is on fire,
Yep.
and they just added that element back into it, but they didn't like overuse them for nostalgia purposes. Does that make sense?
No.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
they're like a background presence in the movie. It's really about the new cast for like a majority of it. Would probably be like 80% for them and then like 20 for the old character, which I think was fine by me. Like Scream 4 did kind of the
yeah,
similar thing.
it did.
And I remember I was gonna say now that like, this is the first one Wes Craven didn't direct. So I
Yeah,
do feel like some critics were kind of like unfairly
yeah,
like judging this one against that kind of but I do think like in terms of like what you're saying about the franchise, like I love that every single one takes on like a different horror like
yeah,
trope or something, like, and that's like rewatching it is always fun because it's like Scream is like taking on just horror movies in general, then you got like 2 and 3 taking on like sequels, 4 is taking on remakes, and then 5 is taking on reboots and requels and stuff like that,
yeah,
legacy sequels. It's just like commenting on like horror of when it was made, which
I
I
agree.
like really appreciate. And I think David Arquette was like wrestling or something for a while. I think that's why he wasn't like acting, or I
He was
remember there
wrestling, that's
was,
true.
yeah, so maybe that's why. But yeah,
Yeah,
I agree that like this was probably the best like Dewey movie. Even though
yeah,
he's been through like a lot
yeah.
in these
Oh no.
Scream movies. He's been like shot, stabs.
And I want to see it every time, like I
Yeah,
love watching him get his ass kicked in all of these. He's
yeah.
probably the worst cop in the world, but also kind of one of the best cops too at the same time. So
I
I kind
love
of
in
like
a
that
scary
dynamic.
movie. I love in Scary Movie that he's
Doofy,
called Doofy.
doofy,
Yeah, because
perfect.
it's like the perfect,
It
like
is.
that's pretty much what he
He
is in
is.
Scream. He's just a doofus.
He is. But in this one, man, I'll tell you, he ain't taking any shit. And I loved
No.
watching that aspect of him. And you're right, Wes isn't present, and it does show sometimes. But I also kind of thought it was so necessary. I know he's not present for unfortunate reasons, but I thought it was
Yeah.
necessary to have a fresh new set of eyes to look at this franchise and kind of update it the way that it did. And
And even like Nev Campbell, like if I remember like for like a long time they were saying like they didn't want to make another one because Wes
right,
Craven died, but
right,
then the directors of Ready or Not like wrote her a letter with the script and said like we really have a fresh take on it and we'd love for you to be a part of it, and they kind of changed their tune, and I think like right there that just speaks on like the care they took to make the new Scream movie, and it shows. Like
yeah,
I do think it's like one of the, and for all of like the good, this wouldn't have been made without Wes Craven. I mean, like 3 isn't that good, like isn't great, and like even like 4
yeah.
is like has like is not my favorite, and so I mean I think this is like the new one is probably like my favorite sequel. out of all of them.
I
It might
think
be.
it's the best since two, if that makes sense. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely think it's the best since the second one. I don't
Yeah.
think it's better than one and two, but I do think it's the best since. So
But
I
the fact that you can
enjoyed it.
say
Yeah,
that, the fact that you
absolutely.
can say
Yeah,
that from the fifth movie,
yeah.
I mean, not
That's
since like I'm trying to think like Final Destination. I think part five of Final Destination is like really good,
it is good.
but
Yeah.
not a lot of other like franchises can really say that like the fifth movie is one of the better ones. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
That's a good point. You're right. You're right. I
Yeah,
mean, Final Destination has been one of those glaring exceptions to, the fifth movie in a horror franchise being great.
yeah.
But yeah, this one especially did take, like I said, you just needed those updated set of eyes, I think. And I wanted to ask you too, just as kind of a, topic of horror, because it does come up a lot in this movie. What is your take on the term elevated horror?
I hate it.
Me too. Yeah, I agree.
I hate it just because it by definition you're saying that like other horror is like not
Yeah, like we're better.
up to par. Yeah.
Which,
Um.
granted, I mean, A24 has come out and said that they don't even like the term, so I'm happy about that because they're
Yeah.
typically synonymous with that term. And I love that they don't support that either, that they're just like, we're just trying to do new things. We're not trying to be better, if that makes sense. So I
And I
like
do
that.
love John Carpenter had a he I mean his interviews are like the best. If
Oh,
you
they're
haven't
great.
like
Oh, they're
yeah, so
fantastic. Yeah.
he had a recent interview where some poor interviewer was asking him about elevated horror for some why would you do that? I don't know, but they were like, what's your take on elevated horror? He's like, I have no idea what that means.
Right.
And I can guess for you, but I don't know what that means. And then they were like, oh, it's like A24 movie. He doubled down. They doubled down,
Yeah.
A24 and Hereditary and blah blah blah. And John
Yeah.
Carpenter's like, I still don't know what you're talking. I have no fucking idea
Yeah,
what
I
you're
mean, I would think, like, if
doing.
anything, like, if there was an acceptable way to use the term, and again, I'm not a fan of it, but if there was one way to look at it in an acceptable manner, it would be that elevated horror is trying to break new ground and hit the next level, but it's not necessarily always elevated, if that makes sense. But then if you're going to do that, then you have to kind of go back in time a little bit. And I mean, wouldn't Shining be synonymous with that term? Wouldn't
Yeah,
Eraserhead be synonymous with it? I mean, I
I
know a
think
lot of people
about it
don't do
as
that.
like I don't have a great term like replacement term for it, but I just think of
Nah.
like movies that uh try and give you like a dread
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
rather than like try and scare you.
Yeah.
So I'd put it maybe like dread horror. Like
Yeah.
I think that's like a way better because then like you don't have that kind of like inherent like bias that like
Yeah.
of horror. So I think like and like you said like and a lot of these movies fit into to me
Absolutely.
under that like you
Yeah.
said Shining is more dread,
Yeah.
Hereditary is more dread. It's
Hereditary, right. Yeah.
yeah.
It,
So
my friend Josh actually had a really good term for it too. He calls it atmospheric horror. I like that a
atmospheric
lot.
horror.
Yeah, I
I
like
think
that a
that's even
lot.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually probably my favorite way to analyze, or not analyze, but just put a category
Yeah.
on those types of movies. Atmospheric horror. And it's not and I have been more into atmospheric stuff lately, but that's not to say that something from a studio can't break through and be just as good. You know what I mean?
We
Because
do
it's happened.
I think that is a perfect segue too. We do have some atmospheric horror
We
movies on
do.
here. You
Yeah.
want to talk
Let's get into
you
it.
saw you saw Men? Did you see Men?
Dude, I didn't get to watch it. I'm so sorry. I
Ah,
tried.
it's all right.
I love Alex Garland. It's something I'm going to watch. It wasn't that I never planned on watching it. It was just I kind of missed it, and people told me it wasn't good. You're the first person to tell me it's good, so that makes me
Yeah.
happy. It gives me more incentive to check it out now, and I will watch it. I love Garland.
I mean, it's like what we've been talking about. Anytime a writer director gets a check to do
Yeah,
whatever they want, you're gonna, it's gonna be random. It's not gonna be what
yeah,
you expect. And so a lot of people, I think, kind of went into it expecting like, some of Ex Machina or Annihilation or something like that. And it's not like those movies like whatsoever. It definitely I'm not sure if it is an A24 movie. Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, I think if you like A24 movies, it's definitely under the banner of what you've seen from A24 at least, like
okay,
Midsommar
yeah,
or something like that. Like it's definitely atmospheric. There's some sequences in it which I won't spoil that like when I think of the movie, I think are just like some of the best that have
hmm
come out like in recent years. There's one in the trailer in a tunnel that I think was just like so scary. There's like some reveals in the third act, which are just like body horror, like crazy. Cronenberg type shit. And so there's elements in it, and I did like the way it ultimately ended kind of left me a little cold, but like the ride from like the first two acts I think was like so cool, and such a unique concept that like I would recommend anyone see it. Like just to again, it's an A24 movie. I don't love all of A24's horror
Hmm.
movies. They're hit or miss, but just because they're so random and different,
Hmm.
and so Men might not work for you. It's probably it's my least favorite of the Garland directed movies. But I don't think that means it's like bad. It's the most horror though out of all of them.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for like a horror A24 movie, I definitely think it's because it's about like this men stalking and what's the actress's name? She's amazing. She's like one of my favorite actresses
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. I
She
can't
is
think of her
so
name.
good. Jessie Buckley.
Jesse
Um,
Buckley. There you are.
she's just been killing it lately. She was in I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which was like one of my favorite movies
Oh, I heard that was great.
of 2020.
Yeah.
Another very weird movie from
Yeah.
Charlie Kaufman, another like writer director. So she chooses these kind of projects I think intentionally, and she's great in them. Like she is really unique emotional performances that deal with like trauma and grief and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's a really cool movie. Even if like it doesn't all work for me,
Yeah.
I still appreciated it.
No, man, I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
it. I like I said, I love Garland. Like you are right. This is definitely going to be the most horror he's done. I mean, his last two were more sci-fi leaning than horror, but
yeah.
this one
And
I'm very
he
much looking
wrote
forward
28
to.
Days Later, which is like one
Yeah,
of my
that's right.
favorite horror movies
That's a great Danny
of
Boyle
the
flick.
last
Yeah,
like 25 years.
it's great.
Uh,
Yeah.
so he knows what he's doing with horror, like for sure.
Oh, I believe it. No, I didn't doubt I didn't doubt him in that. So I'm gonna check it out for sure. That's one I definitely want to
Yeah.
see. That's again, atmospheric. It looked like it would be one that would intrigue me. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. So,
And
I
one more here, if we're talking
yeah,
about auteurs, which I don't think you've seen, Crimes of the Future from Cronenberg.
no, but I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I've heard great things.
It's another one. I didn't love it. I'd put it
Okay.
probably on the same plane as Men, which is like, middle to like probably like 70 out of 100, maybe something like that, if you wanted to give it a grade. Where I like certain things about it, but again, it Cronenberg, when you watch one of his movies, you know it's gonna be weird as fuck.
Yeah.
And this movie delivers on that, like Viggo Mortensen, but there's a lot of body horror stuff. It
Hmm.
doesn't really like feed you like a straightforward narrative
Yeah.
necessarily. It's kind of like a mystery noirish
Yeah.
type of story that's like happening and kind of unraveling, which I liked. And again, not it doesn't really come together in the end for me. But if you like Cronenberg, again, I think giving these auteurs money and stuff to make movies is like just so cool. Like, please keep giving them money to make whatever they want,
Yeah.
because you need I love these different ideas that they have, even if they're not like perfect. It's like whatever, let them make these like weird eccentric body
Right.
horror
Right.
movies.
I did watch the trailer for that though, and like I know this is gonna sound weird because it's not a horror movie, but the vibe of like, especially the type of performance Vigo was giving, kind of reminded me of History of Violence a little bit. I don't know if that's even accurate, but that
It's
was
a
just
lot
the vibe I was
different.
getting.
He's playing like probably like the oldest I've seen Vigo
Right.
play. He's playing like an old like curmudgeon.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different than like what he normally plays.
Yeah.
He's kind of like bedridden for like most of it.
Yeah.
So it's again, and then Leia Sadu is in it, and
Mm.
she's
Yeah.
like in a lot of like Wes Anderson. She was in the newest Wes Anderson
I like
movie.
Leia Sadu. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought she was like probably like my favorite performance out of the movie. I would
Wow.
say that was I think that was like my main takeaway, was like, wow, Leia Sadu like really fits
Yeah.
Cronenberg's writing really well. She gets it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's another recommendation from an auteur.
Really quick, I wanted to ask you, speaking of Wes Anderson, it just kind of brought me to Ray Fiennes as an actor. The Menu's coming up. Are you looking forward to that? I've heard great things about the Menu.
Yeah.
With
The trailer looks very weird, but I'm not like holding that against it, because
yeah,
I
no.
think certain movies are just like impossible to kind of like promote. Like, and I just feel like the Menu whatever it's trying to say or do, I just don't think you can make a commercial for it that's
Probably
like
not. Yeah.
gonna get people to want to see it. But I like all of the actors in
Yeah.
there, so
Yeah.
who knows?
I'm told from early reactions that the movie's actually fairly scary too. So that actually interests
Okay.
me. I'm interested to see that. I think Anya Taylor-Joy's been picking some great
Oh
projects.
man,
She is unbelievable.
another one of my favorite actresses right now.
Yeah, I know it didn't come out this year, but did you watch Soho last year?
I
Uh,
did. I
I
thought it was okay.
Oh, really? I loved it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I was really high on it, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was different for Edgar Wright. You know what I mean? So like, I
Oh,
just
for sure.
I love that he tried something new, and he always kind of is, but that one especially I thought was different.
Mhm.
And but no, she is just amazing, and I'm so excited to see the
Yeah.
menu because of her. Well, what about? I think you told me you saw it, but I don't know. Barbarian? Did you check out Barbarian this year?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did see it. Yeah, this is like I think I kind of had this similar feeling to when I saw X to Barbarian,
Okay,
because the word of mouth and the hype was like so strong. Like
it
most
was
original
strong.
horror movie, don't watch any trailers, don't look at anything on social media, stuff like that. And kind of to give credit, I guess there, it wasn't what I was expecting at all.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I do think like once it gets to like the third act, it did leave me wanting more, I guess.
yeah.
But the first hour in particular, when you're kind of like trying to, it like the movie plays with you as a an audience member of like it doesn't reveal its cards about what it is until very late, like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And so I really like kind of that twistiness of it.
Hmm.
And all the actors do a really good job. Justin Long too. I've been a fan of for a
I
long
love Justin
time.
Long. Yeah.
And then Bill Skarsgård too, doing like a really tricky kind of performance, which I won't like spoil why. But yeah, I liked it, but again, like I didn't like love it. Like it seems like the overwhelming consensus is like that it's amazing. Like for example, I saw Pearl I think before Barbarian, and I would still put Pearl above Barbarian. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Fair enough.
yeah.
Uh,
So
I still haven't seen it. I'll be very real about it.
okay.
My buddy
It's on HBO right
HBO
now.
now. Yeah, I think as
Yeah.
of just recently. So I'm very excited to get to it. My buddy told me if I liked Malignant, I'm gonna like this one. So I did like Malignant, and so
Yes.
I'm very
I would agree.
yeah. So I'm very
I'd put it
excited about
probably on
that.
the same level as Malignant, yeah. And I liked Malignant too.
Yeah,
So
it's got a great cast too. I mean, I Bill Skarsgård, and I am also a massive fan of Justin Long. I think that the guy is just awesome. I like that he's always trying something new with his career. He doesn't have to stay in one lane. He does a lot of horror for sure, but it's
yeah.
always kind of a different horror movie each time, which I really enjoy. It's always kind of something unique. And true story, my cousin actually met Justin Long on a beach and said he was an absolute
Oh wow.
sweetheart of a
Oh
guy.
man, yeah. His podcast, I mean,
Yeah,
I recommend he's like such a positive guy, and like when he interviews people, you can tell that all his guests really like him. They're not
cool.
like it's not like late night shows where like
Right.
they're contractually obligated to come onto these shows.
Yeah.
Like it's actually like his friends that he texts like, "Hey,
Yeah.
can you want to come onto my podcast?" And like they just kind of talk as friends. Like he's very natural interviewer. And so
Awesome.
I think that my perception of him is that he like is a nice guy. So that kind of tracks. And yeah, I mean like it's on HBO now. I would
Sweet.
recommend it. For as
HBO
crazy as it
Now or HBO Max? I'm kidding.
HBO Max. And
HBO Go?
for as wild as it gets, I do think like the thriller parts of it, like where it's more Hitchcock, was kind of like my favorite aspects of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man. That's awesome to hear. And I'm always going to listen to your podcast recommendations because you got me hooked on Conan Needs a Friend. So
Oh
I want to
man,
thank you
yeah.
for that.
If you
Thank
like
you.
that, if
I
you like
love
that,
it.
yeah, I think Justin Long has some good guests too. And on auteurs, I think let's just keep on this theme if we're going through
Let's
auteurs.
do it.
Did you see Nope?
Yes, I saw
Jordan
it in
Peele.
theaters.
highly anticipated. I saw it in theaters as well.
Yeah.
His follow-up to Us, which I didn't love. I got to be
Yeah.
honest. I thought Us was kind of a letdown, and I know it's hard coming off of like uh um Get Out, which was
It's
like,
difficult.
so well loved, like one of the best horror movies of
Yeah.
recent years, and saw that in the theater as well. But I thought Nope was good. I really had a fun time with it.
Uh-huh.
Um, again, like not a perfect movie. I did have some issues kind of with the pacing. I would
Uh-huh.
say mostly I do think it's way too long for what it's trying to do. But it's I've seen comparisons to kind of like Signs and Shyamalan,
Yeah.
and I do think it's probably like his most like Shyamalan type movie of trying
Sure.
to
I can give you
build
that.
suspense. Maybe some Spielberg too in there for sure. There's some
Absolutely Spielberg.
obvious references to like Close Encounters and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that and E.T. But yeah, I think it was a lot different than what I was expecting, and Kiki Palmer is great in it. I want to see her in more stuff. All the actors did a good job, and there's one sequence in particular with when they're filming the TV show, which is just like like one of the
Oh
most
yeah.
haunting scenes from this year and from a long time. Jordan Peele is just so good at that, like painting
Yeah.
these like really scary scenes that kind of stick in your head. Like, and I just watched Get Out again,
Oh,
like
nice.
to get ready for Nope, and like just thinking about like how he created the sunken place and like how that's
Yeah.
just like a term we use now, you know. Yeah, I thought it was good, and I think this is I'd put it still after Get Out, but I did like it more than Us. So
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fair. I think that I almost kind of land with you. I think the one difference is that I really liked Us a lot.
okay,
I did have issues with it. I don't think it's perfect either, but I do like it
yeah,
a lot. Get Out though is my favorite of his. Of the two, it's definitely the more solid for sure. I love Get Out.
yeah,
Like I'm obsessed with that movie. It's just so perfectly crafted.
holds up.
Very much
Yeah,
so.
holds up great.
And so Nope was interesting because I'm going to go on a quick diatribe about this, if that's all right. Because
Yeah, go ahead.
saw this with my buddy Josh, and my buddy Josh and I are weird fucks, and we really like aliens and shit. And so, like, we have a
Yeah,
lot of like our own theories on what aliens are supposed to be. And he and I have typically kind of agreed on that, like on like the concept of aliens and shit. And so he and I went to go see this in the IMAX together, and I gotta say, I think that I took to this movie so much because, to Jordan Peele's credit, his shit on
his take
aliens,
on it.
his take
Yeah,
on aliens, right? Not shit. His take on aliens
yeah,
lines up so much about a lot of the things that Josh and I have been kind of theorizing about.
yeah,
And like I love that about this movie. And the thing that I love even more is, because I did think Us was a downgrade from Get Out, even though I liked it quite a bit, he's really learned to kind of take both styles of Us and Get Out and then mix them together and make this
yeah,
really, really great, entertaining movie, I think. And the performances are great. Kiki Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya, who just keeps impressing me, by the way. Daniel Kaluuya is just
yeah. He
incredible.
is, and it's a lot. It's a really different performance in
Very subdued. Yeah.
in Nope, which like I know some people probably won't like that, but yeah, even Us has like really like powerful images of like the kid coming out through the fire and
Yeah.
stuff, and the family standing in like the shadows outside of the house like that. I still remember.
Yeah.
um, and got some good performance. I just like again story wise, I think didn't like come together at the end necessarily, like what he was trying to say with that.
Yeah.
But Nope, like a different again like different take,
Yeah.
and a lot about like movie making too, which I liked. With
Mm-hmm.
like the cinematographer character
Yeah.
and like TMZ, which I thought was like a smart kind of how we would be if aliens like
I
really
agree.
came,
Yeah.
which I think like really came through too through the movie, and just funny. Like all his
Yeah.
movies have like some kind of humor in it too, and Nope was like one I'm glad I saw in the
100%.
theaters so I could enjoy it like in a theater and laugh
Yeah.
uh, on like the big screen.
Yeah.
And I think if not out now, like coming out soon
It's out, I'm pretty
on
sure on
on
VOD,
Blu-ray.
on
Okay,
Blu-ray.
yeah.
Yeah, no, my buddy actually just bought it on Blu-ray. He
Okay.
showed me a steelbook, so it is out for sure. Yeah, and Jordan definitely takes, like, he's done his research on this stuff too, which is something I love,
Yeah.
and like he does tether the alien concept to stuff that's like really happened in real life, so that even kind of gives it a scarier vibe to it, because like he, like the UAP thing, that was a real thing. Like the government released
Yeah.
those tapes of the UFOs, like that actually did happen.
Yeah, I
And
remember that. I
yeah,
remember when they brought that up. I was like, yeah, that actually happened. Yeah.
yeah, so that was very cool. The other thing I really liked about it, like you said, Spielberg, and that's for damn sure, because when that cinematographer popped up, I was like, this has to be how people felt when they first met Quentin Jaws, right? Like,
Yeah.
because he's that same type of like kind of wild presence, man.
Oh
That he's
yeah,
like,
for sure.
and I love that, man. I thought that he definitely,
The veteran like cinematographer, director.
absolutely,
And Hoyte von Hoytema did the cinematography, which I don't he doesn't hasn't worked with Jordan Peele
yes,
before this, but like it looked like amazing. Like the night
uh,
scenes looked like it's probably like some of the best night scenes, because usually it drives me crazy because it's like to cover up CGI when they do night scenes, which I really don't like necessarily. But
right,
like for this one, the way they like built the suspense around like looking into the sky and like what you can't see,
yeah.
uh, I thought was like perfect for what they were trying to do. So
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of
yeah,
it does come down to that great cinematography, but I also think that it's one of the benefits of him being able to work with the studio is that he does have a lot of money put behind this, and it shows. I
yep,
mean, it's worth it. Every penny is on the screen, and it looks really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
So,
gonna see whatever he puts out, even if you know
100%.
it's not my favorite. It's the same thing with all. It's when you get an auteur, that's
Hmm.
the risk you take.
Yeah.
Is you know, you're at the mercy of whatever they're into at the moment. So
Yeah. The
he's
impress
into aliens right now. So
fair enough, and I'm all for it. I'm here for it. But the interesting thing about Peel is like even the people, and you were kind of even saying this, like even the people that didn't like us kind of respect that it's different. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
like
I do.
it's that's very cool about Peel, man. His career. I mean, people, and he's got this clout behind him where people recognize his name even in the mainstream. So that's like something very different for an auteur that we don't have all the time, to where it's
Yep.
like a lot of mainstream audience members will go see it because his name is on it. So that's pretty awesome about him. And I love, obviously he was a comedian before, so it helps. But
Yeah.
it's still this thing of like I like it, because like you go to the theater to see his movie, it's like an event. I enjoy
Yep.
that about his movies. Yeah.
And yeah, and I guess it might be the last auteur I have on here, so that we can go on this theme.
Let's do it.
But The Black Phone from Scott Derrickson, who did direct the first Doctor Strange, so to
Hmm.
tie it to what we talked about
Yeah.
before. But he also did like The Exorcism of Emily Rose. He also wrote a Hellraiser movie, which is not very good, and directed one called Hellraiser Inferno. Which is kind of getting like reclaimed now though, which is like I guess it's just because Scott Derrickson's like a thing now, but
Yeah.
I really don't think that's a good movie
No, it's
still.
not.
uh,
It's not good.
um and yeah, and then his new movie Black Phone, based on a Joe Hill short story. um
Hmm.
oh, he also did Sinister too. That was the other one I was thinking of,
Yeah, go ahead.
which I really love. That's like
Hmm.
one of my favorite recent horror movies. Yeah, again, this was another one that like I don't know if it was the hype train or whatever, but like same thing of X and whatever other one I was talking about, were like Barbarian, where like I liked it well enough, but it just kind of left me, especially like in terms of the Ethan Hawke character, like wanting a lot more. And I get like not
Hmm.
having him present, I guess, was a choice, and like to leave it with like the kids, but like I guess I wanted more of the villain story than like the supernatural thing. And like it's funny that it's Stephen King's son, because this is a problem I have with Stephen King stories a lot, is
Yeah.
like I like his more like just character driven, suspenseful things. And when he gets into like uber supernatural crap, like
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, like you had to just make like all the cars in the world evil. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least Christine, it's one car, and in Maximum Overdrive, it's like every single vehicle, and it's like way too much. So I kind of had that feeling with like Black Phone, where it's like there's some cool ideas in it. Ethan Hawke is great as always. The kid actors too really did a really good job, and it looks good. But I just think like as a thriller, it kind of like failed because it's like the third act should be like this ultimate like payoff, and I missed there was a missing piece there where I just watched. Speaking of Stephen King too, I just rewatched Misery in a theater. Last month, and you want to talk about a thriller that's like
That's awesome.
the template of what a thriller should be with
Hmm.
like setup
Oh
and
yeah.
payoffs and a great villain. That's what, at least for me, that's what I expect a great
Fair.
like thriller to kind of live up to that. And yeah, I just didn't think it didn't work as well for me. But yeah, what about you? Did
I
you
did.
like this one? Okay,
I saw this in the theater, and to go back a little bit,
same.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a massive Derrickson fan. I loved Emily Rose. I love Sinister, man. Like
me too.
I think
Yeah,
that's one of Ethan Hawke's great performances too that just doesn't get talked about enough. And I actually even like Deliver Us from Evil. I know a lot of people were lukewarm on it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't one of his best, but definitely pretty
I don't.
good.
I think that's the only one I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen that one.
I happen to like it. I think it's fine.
Okay.
I don't think it's like bad
That's
at
with like
all.
Eric Bana, right?
Eric
Eric Bana's in that.
Bana and
Okay.
Joel. He's usually in comedies. The Community guy, Joel. Gosh,
Oh, Joel McHale.
yes, Joel McHale.
Yeah.
He's actually really good in Deliver Us from Evil. He gives
Okay.
one of his better performances. And I also thoroughly enjoy Doctor Strange. I thought Doctor Strange is one of the better
Yeah.
MCU movies of its phase. So I thoroughly enjoyed that as well. And Derrickson, the unique thing is he kind of left Multiverse of Madness and went and did this instead.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad he did. I'll tell you what, I thought Black Phone was really good. And uh the thing I like about it is you can actually see kind of the techniques that he's learned from doing a big studio movie like Doctor Strange, I think, and a lot of his
Yeah.
behind the camera work here. And as far as like Joe Hill goes, I mean, I like Joe Hill's sort of stories. Like I thought Horns was really unique. I know it's kind of a split movie, but like Horns was a really unique sort of story that I thoroughly enjoyed watching, and I kind of watch it every year around Halloween. It's just a really good one to put on. And this
Yeah.
one is going to be kind of like that, I think, for me too, where I watch it almost every Halloween. I thought there was plenty of Ethan Hawke in this. Like, I kind of disagree with you on that point. Like, to me, like Ethan Hawke,
Really?
yeah, to me, Ethan Hawke kind of had me squirming in my seat in this movie a lot. I don't know if it was
I
just
just think
the
he was like in the background a lot, or
fair,
like at the top of the stairs, and I just was like waiting for him to like
yeah,
that like moment to where it's like, okay, he's terrifying me, but you get like glimpses of it. You get like glimpses of it. And I just was like, I wanted to spend more time with whatever the fuck was going on with that guy. Just to like get a perspective on it. And I think the movie was like not interested in that at all. It was more interested in the kid and the phone
interesting.
and the ghosts kind of aspect, which it was cool, but I think they could have balanced it out a little
Mm.
bit more, maybe.
I like the angle with the kids. Number one, I thought the kid actors were just phenomenal in this. Like they just did a
Yeah,
really
they were
great
great.
job. And I also like that there are like things that happen throughout the movie without giving it away that you don't necessarily think are going to matter, but end up becoming important toward the end. And everything just kind of comes together. And I thought Ethan Hawke just delivered. Even though you're right, I'm not going to say he was like the forefront. I'm not trying to say that. I'm
Yeah.
saying that I think it was the right amount for the story that
And
was
that
being
could be the
told.
marketing's fault too. Again, that
True,
could have been like
true.
all the
Yeah.
trailers and the posters had them like front and center.
Yeah.
And then when you see the movie, it's kind of like, you can that might have been the case. I don't know. But I
Yeah.
definitely felt like kind of not that I got like cheated or anything like that, but I was like, man, I wish I could have seen more of Ethan Hawke because I really love him as an actor.
Yeah. This also had James Ransone, who you guys might remember as Deputy So and So from Sinister, and I think that guy is like entertaining every time he's on screen. Like I
Mhm.
hate Sinister 2, but I like watching him in Sinister 2. Like
Yeah, Sinister 2 sucks.
it's not good, but I like him. I think he's good in
Yeah.
it. He's always good. I liked him in the second It as well, but he was very
Yeah.
entertaining here. I think James Ransone's kind of an underrated character
See, and I
actor
didn't
right
really
now.
love him in Black Phone
Oh,
either.
really?
That was another
Interesting.
piece that didn't really work for me. Like the
Interesting.
cocaine fueled like
I
brother.
liked it.
Like it was weird. I don't know. There was some choices in the second half in particular that kind of
Okay.
like I was like on the fence, in the first half, I was giving it the benefit of the doubt, and then just the direction they went in didn't really wasn't really what I had in mind and didn't
Okay.
really like grab me. But again, it's
Yeah.
from an auteur. It's well made.
Yeah.
I think it's on like one of the streamers right now, like Peacock or something like that. Like,
Peacock. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
It is on
So
Peacock.
I wouldn't say like don't watch it if you're looking for a movie. I just think there's movies we've talked about and
Hmm.
movies we will talk about. Looking at the list that I would recommend before that. So
Yeah, it's not Pearl level, but it's really,
yeah,
really, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I thought it was a lot of fun. And kind of eerie too at the same time. So I liked it for that. Yeah.
cool. Where do you want to go next? I think that was the end of the auteur run that
The
I had.
auteur
I
run?
don't see it.
I
I
don't know,
don't see any other
do we
auteurs on
have
here.
any big kind of studio movies that kind of came out? Oh, I gotta ask you. Here's where we'll go. This is kind of
Okay.
interesting. Um, all right, you're gonna laugh the second I say it. Did you watch The Munsters?
No.
Okay. All right.
Is it how? What did you think? I heard it sucks. From a lot of
All
people.
right. Well, yeah.
I mean, the trailer was like one of the worst trailers I've ever seen.
I brought it
Like,
up, so I'll indulge you on this because I did say I
okay,
wasn't going to put my review out till we hit the 400 subscriber mark, but I will indulge you.
okay.
I'll indulge you for a second. I
I
kind of
mean,
talked
even
to.
if you just say to watch it or not, that's enough for me.
All
Like,
right, no, don't watch it. There's much better things you could do with your time.
okay,
The
that's what
thing,
I figured.
the thing I will say is this: I don't think it's the garbage people are making it out to be.
And
So,
I've seen some critics on that like say that
mm,
it's not completely terrible, but like it's still bad.
it's not the
Like,
garbage that people make it out to be, nor is
yeah.
it as bad as the trailer made it look. Like, I
Okay.
almost feel like Universal was trying to play into that a lot more to try to get people to
I
watch
was
it that
thinking
way.
about that. I was like, were they trying to be like
Yeah.
make it a satire about movies or something about like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, it can't be this bad. Like,
Right.
I kind of that was kind of the feeling I got. Like, as much as Rob Zombie's very polarizing.
Very.
I do like some of his films, like Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses, I think is okay. The Halloween remake,
Yeah.
I do enjoy out of
Hmm.
like those sequels. Not the second one, but the first one at least, I think is like, again, he tried something different, didn't work for
Yeah.
everybody. But
Yeah.
yeah, Monsters, again, it's another one where I'm just like, I don't even have any affinity for the original show.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I don't even know if like,
Yeah.
what fans of the show like about it, or
Yeah.
like if they like it, or if I'll even enjoy it because I don't have those reference points.
Yeah.
But there have been a couple times just scrolling on Netflix though where I was like, is today the day I watch the
Yeah.
Monsters? And I just haven't
Absolutely.
got around to that yet.
No,
Yeah.
I get it, man. And like, I am a fan of the original show. Like, I actually did grow up on it, so I do feel like I have a
Okay.
unique perspective as
Did
opposed
you
to a
think
lot
they
of
did like
critics.
a good job then of like
No.
paying
Uh
respect to it? No.
well, no. Here's what I'll say. Okay, so there are a lot of attempts at making monster movies in the past, and this is
Oh,
by no
okay.
means the worst attempt. So what I'm gonna
Fair.
say is that I think that Daniel Roebuck does a great job as Grandpa Munster. He is the
Hmm.
highlight of the movie, and you could tell that he really loves it. It cares, and I even don't love, but I liked Herman. I thought Jeff Daniel whatever Phillips did a pretty good job with Herman,
Okay.
and I another problem I have with it is I don't understand Rob Zombie's incessive need to cast his wife and everything. I'm glad there's love
Yeah.
there, but she is not a good Lily at all.
And
Like,
I do feel like, to be fair, all these actors are in all of his other movies
yeah,
too. So it's a problem I feel like across the board where like I do wish he kind of would like reach
yeah,
across more to different actors to
yeah,
see, maybe because it's
yeah,
tough. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
to some of those movies like 31, for example, where it's just like, oh man, this is
I didn't see it, but
really,
yeah,
really terrible.
I
It's really bad.
I have to
Uh
watch it. I don't know, but I would say that you could tell that Rob Zombie actually does love the monsters in this. Like every time I was watching
Oh,
it,
and I was sure if he did, he's talked about it before,
yeah,
like about all of his like love for like Universal monsters and
yeah.
the monsters and stuff like that. And so I knew like that he wasn't trying to make this as like a farce or anything like that.
No, definitely not a farce.
So
But what I would say is that, like, his ideas are there, man, and the ideas are great. The problem is the direction, and it's unfortunately on him as well. What I would like them to do is, I would have loved them to just try this in the first place. Tim Burton directs it, gives it that Beetlejuice treatment,
Yeah.
but uses Rob Zombie's ideas. Don't have him write the script by any means. Don't have him do that,
Yeah.
but use him as kind of a consultant. Have him be like an executive producer or something, and use him as the consultant. But this movie with the Beetlejuice glamour and glare and charm, I think would have worked. You needed kind of that for it, and I think it would have worked out a lot better. But granted,
Tim Burton's on a cold streak too, though. I mean,
he is, but Wednesday looks good. Hopefully, he turns it around with this
oh yeah,
Netflix
that's
show.
true. I'll
But
give it a
yeah,
chance, probably.
yeah.
So I did lie. So Rob Zombie, I would love him or hate him. He is an auteur.
He is an auteur. He is an
He does his
auteur.
own he does his own
Yeah.
vision. So that's I lied. But there's another auteur I have on here too that I
Sure.
forgot
Yeah,
about.
let's go ahead and get into
I
it.
actually just watched this. You probably haven't seen it. I don't think I haven't heard anything, and so this is actually like the opposite case where I heard no type of love or fanfare for this movie at all. And I kind of was like went into it thinking like that I wasn't gonna like it, and I actually was kind of pleasantly surprised by it
Okay.
overall. So it's Dario Argento's new movie, which is a Shudder original. If any of you guys have Shudder, it's called Dark Glasses, and like again, he hasn't really done a great movie in a long time. So I really wasn't expecting. I mean, he did Suspiria, but like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if you know your horror history, all of his like Italian slasher films are like just the most deranged, like fucked up, beautiful looking films, and he always does the music in them too. The music's always really good, and so I knew for a fact I was gonna like the music in Dark Glasses. I did, and it checks out. The music's really good. A lot of synthesizers. And basically what
Mm-hmm.
it's about, it's more of a thriller too than a slasher. I mean, there is a killer in it, but it's not. Don't expect like a gore fest. But basically, this woman, it's about a prostitute who there's a serial killer killing prostitutes, and one that he attempts to kill gets like she just gets blinded, but she doesn't die, and so she's kind of relying on like this kid, and then like her I don't know, like caretaker or like caseworker, played by Asia Argento, his daughter, kind of like have to like see for her and like help her out. And then this killer is trying to kill her like while she's blind, and so like trying to get away from him, with this disability. And so I thought it was like a cool premise. I don't know. I thought it was a cool premise, and
Mm-hmm.
again, it's not the greatest thing he's ever done, but like it's probably the best thing he's done in a while, I would say. Like
Yeah.
and the fact that I could just boot it up on Shutter and it was right there. I thought, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It's a really good streaming movie. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just 90 minutes in and out. It does have subtitles if you're not one, but he's an Italian filmmaker, so I don't know what you'd expect there. All his movies are like that. So yeah, I mean, he's an auteur. He's like almost 80 years old, still going and still making like slasher movies. So yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty cool.
The reason I didn't watch this one has nothing to do with any of the criticisms or takes on it. I
Yeah.
refuse to watch a Dario Argento movie until I see Suspiria. That's where I'm
Oh,
at, and I own it
okay.
on Blu-ray. I'm gonna pop it in at some point, folks, and
Yeah.
that's been my whole thing with him as a filmmaker. I want to watch Suspiria before I see anything else. So
You could
that's
watch the whole there's a trilogy too. Which trilogy?
oh really?
Suspiria's the first one, and then Inferno, which is pretty good, not as good as Suspiria, and then the third one you probably don't need to watch that one. That came
Fair
out like
enough.
in the 2000s. That's also with Asia Argento. I don't even remember the name of it, but it wasn't very good.
Didn't get the reappraised
But
Exorcist 3 love that it was expected.
no, but the first two I definitely think worth your time,
Okay.
for
Yeah.
sure. And
Check it out.
Deep Red by Dario Argento is like one of my all-time favorite
Awesome.
horror movies. I think that one I like that one even more than Suspiria, to be honest, which I know is kind of like a hot take, but Deep Red for me is like
Interesting.
gorier and more. The images in there are like just there's some fucked up shit in it. I don't know how else to explain it. Like he just has a crazy imagination
No,
with some of these kills.
I appreciate the recommendations for sure. 'Cause he's definitely
Yeah,
somebody I've wanted to dive into. So, sometimes you got those filmmakers that you want to dive into and you just haven't yet, and he's definitely
yeah.
up there for me. Let's talk about another unique individual here.
Go
This
ahead.
this
Yeah.
this Damien Leone.
I was looking at this too. I was just gonna go into this. So perfect.
Well, go ahead and give your thoughts on Damien and what he's done recently with Terrifier 2, if you would, because I'm definitely interested to hear your take.
Yeah, I went to see this. Me and two of my brothers went the other day in the theater. The first day they were showing it, we chose this over Halloween Ends. Crazy enough,
Fair enough.
and not like intentionally, but just
No.
because like they happen to come out the same day where I'm at in the Midwest, and so this one, I do like supporting lower budget
Mhm.
horror, and I knew there's going to be like more gore in this one, which there is a ton more than Halloween Ends, and like people were like passing out and throwing up and stuff, all those reports, which I guess are true, but like who knows. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge Art the Clown person, to be honest. I'm gonna just be real about it. Like Terrifier 1 was like cool for what it was. Like just if you're just looking for like gruesome gore, then you will love Terrifier 2. As far as story-wise, like I was pretty like annoyed with the story. Like
Hmm.
didn't really love the main character. Her family was just like the little brother and the mom were just like really tough acting wise. I just was so I was like I could not wait for like some of these people to die, which is never a good like thing. Where I was just like, man, some of these and it's 2.5 hours long, so it's like you're spending a ton of time with some of these actors too, which didn't help either. So yeah, I don't know. The story it's almost like Leon is like making up on the fly, which I know for a fact. He says that in an interview, I
Hmm.
think, that like that maybe he had like a lore in mind, but like that but he changed a bunch of stuff, and it's like, yeah, it shows like there's no consistent rules. I don't know what the rules are for Art the Clown, and so like it's just hard to kind of root for anybody or know what to do with it. I don't know,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, there's some good kills in it. I would still I know, like, I'm in the minority. I like the first Terrifier more just because maybe I didn't know what to expect from him, from Art the Clown, and it was like just a lot more like grounded,
Yeah.
to where as this one's definitely trying to get again more supernatural stuff, which I just was like, yeah, get this out of here. Like you're not Freddy Krueger. Like but there's a big swing. They tried, and it's making a lot of money, so there definitely is going to be a Terrifier 3. I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I'm just Art the Clown, not for me. I'll stick with Pennywise. I think Pennywise is the clown I like more.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
So
Um okay, I guess I'll give my thoughts. Uh the okay. So here's the thing. Terrifier, the first movie, I kind of agree in the sense that like gore, blood and shit, like that's not the type of thing that scares me or
Me
anything like
neither.
that.
Yeah.
But I got to say, in the first Terrifier, it's very effective. It actually does creep
Yeah.
me out quite a bit, and the atmosphere of it, I think, really, really works. And
I
I
like
think
his dungeon. I liked his dungeon and stuff.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and I think in the first Terrifier, like it's so effective and just wonderful. Like I really love this first Terrifier. Now, there are
Yeah.
people that are like obsessed with this franchise that
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
get it.
understand the obsession per se, but I did find this first movie to be very effective. Now, I
Yeah.
didn't even know there was a second movie till he sent it to me. I was like, there's
Uh,
a second one. I was like, well, I gotta check this out because
yeah.
I gotta see
I
what this is all about. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I follow like it's the Bloody Disgusting is like a horror
I do
publication and
too. If
like
somehow I missed this, yeah, I don't know
oh
how.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they produced it. So like a lot
Hmm.
of those guys have been like retweeting and stuff and
Right.
yeah, they're real nice guys and everything. I don't have
Yeah.
nothing against them, but it's just um it's trying to be like a throwback 80s slasher movie but again some of the writing and acting I just could not get past it and it kind of took me out every time
Yeah.
something happened but like as far as straight kill gore scenes yes there's a lot of good stuff
Yeah.
but yeah 2.5 hours it's just
It's long.
I can't justify recommending this to somebody like again
Yeah.
there's a lot of better horror movies that we talked about that I would watch first before Terrifier 2.
Fair enough. So my take on Terrifier 2 is this, now that I've seen it. I gotta say, I liked it a lot. I'm with
Okay.
you on the first one being better.
Okay. Cool.
This one definitely is more ambitious per se,
It
by
is.
a
No, it is
long
for sure.
shot. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that works for it every time, because there are things I'm definitely not on board with this one.
Yeah.
Um, but I respected the ambition, and like you said, the kills are great. I don't think it was nearly as effective as that first movie,
Hmm.
but I liked it. And one of the things
Okay.
I liked about this one is I thought that some of the acting choices were stronger than the first, for sure. Not all of them work all the time, but like the main girl is actually pretty good. She turns in a fair performance compared to the leads in the first film, because that's one of my issues with the first film. I
Yeah.
do wish the acting was stronger, but in this one it is a little bit stronger. They stepped it up. Again, I like that lead performance. I thought it was pretty good. Laura Lavone or something like that is her name, and I would like to see her do more and try more. But she was good in this, and I enjoyed. I do like Art the Clown. I don't like hold him as this iconic horror icon
Yeah. I
like a
don't
lot of
either.
people, but I do like him. I think he's effective, and I think the performance that's turned in for him is really good as well. Like it works for everything Damien's going for. Um, there's something I do struggle with in the movie, and a lot of that does come down to some of the things that happen in the end. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It goes down a, let's say, supernatural route that I think just may have
Which the
pushed it a little
first
too
one did.
far.
To be fair, the first one did at the end too, and I didn't like when they did it in the first one either.
Yeah, but I don't think it pushed it as far as this. And I think
It
that this
didn't.
is where it struggled for me, is where
Yeah.
it pushed it a little bit far.
Way too far.
On one
Yeah.
end, I respect the ambition. On the other end, I'm like, it just didn't need to go there. But I gotta say, for a 2.5 hour slasher, which no slasher should ever be 2.5 hours, but for a
No.
2.5 hour slasher, I am surprised that that the pacing wasn't worse than it was. Does that make sense? Like, I'm
No.
surprised
Yeah,
that
I
it
get it.
kept the pace that it did in that 2.5 hours, and the fact that it kept me interested the entire time and didn't really ever let up. I mean, the kills are just absolutely brutal. I mean, they really did have ambition to be like the one of the
Yeah.
most brutal movies of all time, and I can't take that away from it. And in that sense, I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it's creative. It's not going to be for everybody, and I get that.
That's fair.
The post credit scene, definitely I was like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because
I don't
that
know
post
what
credit
the fuck.
scene was like, okay, I'll watch Terrifier 3, but it's at this point it's going to be one of those things where I'm just going to be like, this is going to be over the top, and I'm just kind of expecting that now.
Yeah.
I do know people that are extra sensitive to this type of thing, so I definitely believe those reports. Like, it's surprising how many people are incredibly sensitive to this stuff. But so
Yeah.
I do believe those reports of people passing out, walking out, and I also think that there were people that bought tickets not really knowing what they were getting. But on the same hand, like, did it affect me in that way? No, but I mean, there are definitely some things that are in this movie that I'm like, okay, that's one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So at the same time, it's like I
And
gotta
they draw out
respect
the
it.
kills. It really is like they really show like
Hmm.
that's one thing I'll give it to is like
It's on the screen.
a lot of the 80s slashers and stuff for as much as I love them, like they got cut to shit a lot of the
Yeah,
time because the MPAA was cracking down on horror movies. They thought it was like this like satanic panic around horror movies, and so it really fucked with a lot of those movies. And it is crazy that like nowadays you can put out something like Terrifier 2 in movie theaters.
no, it's true.
And my brother did like it
Hmm.
a lot more than me. one of them at least, and then my younger brother like agreed with me that it was just like fine, it was
Yeah.
whatever.
No, I
Um,
liked it. I did. I really liked it. I just kind of have to have a new expectation for them now, I think, if the third one
yeah.
does happen. It's a different expectation I'm going to have now than I did when I watched the first one, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
because it has gone in such a different direction now, and that's fine. I just I don't know. I got to respect it as an independent effort at the same time, you know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah,
interesting. I guess everything he wanted to do he did, and I can
yeah.
give him that. Like it's just
I
not
just don't know
it's
where
not
you
going to
go
pay
from
off.
here. Like, I really don't know.
Yeah, if
Like,
anything, I'm
it's
hoping the third movie brings me more on board with the direction. I hope that he finds a way to maneuver it to where, but I don't know at this point. I
okay.
yeah.
All right, sticking on sequels, I guess we have a couple here that we can go off on
Sure.
this tangent. Did you see Orphan First Kill?
I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't rush out to see this one either. I was kind of and I
Yeah.
say that as someone I really liked the first Orphan. I actually was like pleasantly surprised by that when I
Yeah.
saw it.
I liked Orphan as well, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, like 15 years ago whenever that
Mhm.
came out. And I thought it was a nice little thriller
Mhm.
child horror movie, and the sequel again was like kind of hyped just on like it's twisty, people were saying, and it's campy and goes in places you don't expect, and
Mhm.
I will say that it tried as far as like the execution. It didn't work for me, like the campiness and the twist in it. I was out once the twist happened, about like halfway through, or I guess fairly early. And so yeah, I didn't think it needed to be made honestly as a sequel, and I mean, I respect the actress for coming back, but if you have Paramount Plus, I wouldn't pay for it, you know what I mean? But if you do have it and you're looking for a horror movie, that's on there. That's how I saw it. I just did a free trial, so
Yeah, no, no, fair enough. I love that first Orphan, which is part of my hesitancy going into this one, is because I thought that first one was such a surprise when it came out, and it's got a
and
really
yeah,
great performance from Vera Farmiga in that,
I was just
and
gonna say, yeah,
yeah,
she's part of the reason why I was missing her a lot in the
yeah,
sequel. There's the mom in the sequel is Julia Childs. And she's okay, but like she's no Vera Farmiga. So
the cook.
our Julia, what's her
It's
name? Julia
is it
Stiles.
Styles? There
Julia
you are.
Stiles.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was like, the cook
sorry.
is in this.
I was like I was like Styles. I was like, is it Styles or Childs? I was like, I couldn't
No, you're good.
remember.
It's an
Okay,
honest mistake. I couldn't think of her name either, to be honest with you. Yeah, no, she's a good actress. I just don't. She's no Vera Farmiga, and I just don't care
no,
to see this. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I have no. Could you do me a favor, really quick? Just stop your video
yeah.
on the Zoom and restart it. It's frozen on my end. I think that typically fixes it. Um, so let's see if that works. Yep, you're back. All right, great,
Okay, cool.
wonderful. All right, sorry about that,
All
but
right,
yeah,
we don't have to spend too much time on this, but
no,
I
yeah,
was
we can
just
move on. That's fine. I haven't seen it,
yeah,
so
a better sequel. I'll say a better sequel that came out was VHS 94, which came out this year.
interesting.
Have you seen this one?
No, because I hated Viral so much. I
It's
did.
it's it's better than Viral.
Okay,
It's
good deal.
it is better than Viral. And they actually just put out another one,
Really?
VHS 99, which just came
Wow.
out. I actually haven't seen that one yet. But I will say like 94 was like a return, I feel like, to like why I like the VHS movies like in the first place.
Hmm.
There's some, I mean, there's good segments in all of them. Like no matter, like even Viral, I feel like has like like at least like one or two
Yeah.
good segments, which is why I like the anthology horror films. And
All
so like
right.
90, I feel like 94 has like a couple. There's like a sewer one, a sewer monster one. Month I can't remember the name of it. It's a really complicated name. There's like a funeral home one. Uh and like those two were my two favorites, and I thought they were like, and again, much better than Viral. And
Good.
it's a Shutter original. The only one I didn't like in 94 was like the last one, which sucks that it like went out on that note. Which was kind of a vampire one. And yeah, just the execution of that one was I thought pretty lame. But all the other ones in 94, I thought were like really well done. So would
Nice.
recommend.
Nice. I'll tell you, man, I really like those first two, and then Viral
Me too.
just destroyed me because of how much I didn't like it. Like that was one of those that was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how terrible it was. And so that makes me happy to hear. I'm gonna check them out, based on your recommendation for sure. I'll tell you what, we're getting really close to that 2 hour mark here, so
Yeah.
I do want to start to wrap things up. Were there any other movies you wanted to mention real quick from this year that we might have missed?
I have, how many do I have here? I'm just like crossing. I got
You're
one,
okay.
two, three, four, five, six. I got 8 more.
8 more.
And we can speed around them
Yeah,
too. It
let's
doesn't have
speed
to be
round it
like a
real
lot.
quick, and then yeah, so that way, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah,
Okay. I guess we'll do. I have 3 Hulu. Or yeah, let me see. 3 Hulu ones. I guess we can group them together.
sure.
That again, a lot of people have Hulu. So if you're looking for kind of a spooky one, I guess the most horror one would be Fresh. Have
Hmm.
you seen this one?
Yes, very original. Loved it. That's my
Yeah.
take on it. I think it's great. Yeah. Did you?
Sebastian Stan, a lot different than what you see from him in as the Winter
Oh yeah. Oh
Soldier.
yeah. Definitely. Definitely very different. I like
uh,
that he's doing different things with this and Pam
Me
and Tommy
too.
and all that. And
And
yeah, it's
yep,
cool.
I really appreciate that. And yeah, definitely like a fresh take. Not to like, I didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah. No.
No
No.
pun
Fair enough.
intended. A fresh
Yeah.
take. And then the Dahmer series too. I guess to go along with
I
that on
haven't watched it
Netflix.
yet.
I just
I hear it's
finished
good.
that today as well. Really recommend Ryan Murphy. He's hit or miss for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is like one of the better things he's done since like some of the early like American Horror Story one, like the better
Yeah.
American Horror Story seasons. Because I've been cold on him for like a while, but Dahmer I thought was like really well done, really respectful. I have a connection to it because I'm in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So I was definitely like kind of like going into it like, is this gonna be like, how faithful are they gonna be? Evan Peters I thought did phenomenal. Richard Jenkins as the dad, Molly Ringwald as the stepmom. There's a lot of good actors in it. So I would recommend it. Niecy Nash too. She was phenomenal
Yeah.
in it too, as like the Dahmer's neighbor. So it's not necessarily horror, like they don't like show the gore and everything if you're going into it like that, but it's just, it focuses more on like just the victims and just how sick, like kind of from how Dahmer came to be, I guess, from beginning to end.
Nice,
So
nice. I love Evan Peters, and I like what Ryan Murphy's done with him in some of the American Horror Story outings. So I was definitely looking forward to checking this one out for sure. So I'm going
okay.
to, yeah,
And then the 2 Hulu ones, real quick.
sure.
These are more thriller, which again, I still think that's kind of horror adjacent. So, but No Exit, I thought was like
Hmm.
a nice little thriller.
All right.
Basically, a confined in one space, uh, in a cabin during a storm, like a snowstorm, and there's a killer among this group of strangers, and it's like a mystery of like who's the killer, who
Yeah.
done it, type of thing. I thought was booted up one day, me and my brother looking for something to watch, really like fine, good streamer movie, I thought.
Nice.
Another one, Deep Water with Ben Affleck and Anna de Armas. Have you seen that one?
No, I have not. I have not heard good things though. But go ahead and give your take.
I liked it.
Okay.
I thought it was a campy good time.
Fair enough.
It's not every day when you get to see Ben Affleck like being a cuck in a movie. And so to see him this side of Ben Affleck,
Yeah.
and the fact that him and Anna de Armas were like actually going out when
Right.
this was made, I had to like check it out for myself and see like
Yeah.
what was going on. And yeah, it's Adrian Lyne is another auteur who directed it. He did
Okay.
Fatal Attraction
Right,
and a
which is
lot of those
great.
like
Yeah.
and Jacob's Ladder.
Right.
So he does have like a unique vision that it didn't. There's some silly ass shit that happens in it for sure, but like if you're along for that ride, I thought it was fun. I
All
thought it was a
right.
good time.
Cool.
Uh, And then how many more I got here? I got four more. Okay, another Shudder original, which I actually saw at a film festival last year, but it just came out on Shudder this year. So I'll just bring it up. It's called The Sadness. It's like a pandemic movie, kind of like 28 Days Later, I would say. Kind of it's like a virus, and then when people get infected with it, they do just the most horrendous, horrific shit. And if you thought Terrifier 2 had some nasty kills in it, like The Sadness has like some of the most depraved kill scenes I've ever seen. And it is like an international like horror movie. So it does have subtitles, but again, I feel like a lot of times those movies are like more brutal. So
Yeah.
so it's from Taiwan. I was just looking at it. So yeah, Taiwanese horror movie. That's on Shudder as well. Um Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix came out this year. Did you see that one?
I did not. I haven't heard much good about it, but you give me your take. I love Texas Chainsaw, by the way, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Another one where the franchise, like, pretty much, other than the first one, sucks.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I will say that it has some good kills, and then besides that, it's pretty like stupid and forgettable.
Fair enough.
But yeah. So that was like one on again on you can watch it on Netflix right now.
Hell yeah.
And we had a new Leatherface, new Pinhead, new Michael Myers.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good year.
Good year for slashers. New Ghostface. Then my last two here, The Cursed, which is a vampire movie, which came out at the beginning of the year.
I
Was
heard
okay.
about this.
Yeah, it wasn't. I thought there was some cool things in it, but what's his name? Boyd Holbrook is the main guy. I kind of wish it was more about him. He's like a vampire hunter in it, kind of like the Van Helsing.
Yeah.
And he comes in like super late, like second half of the movie. And I was like, if this movie was like him like hunting vampires, it would have been like way cooler.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably. And then the last one is Dash Cam, which I don't know if you've seen that either.
No, I heard about it though.
Okay.
How do you feel about it?
I think in my review, like on my letterbox, the only thing I remember saying was like the main lead. I'm talking like bringing up the annoying leads in Terrifier 2, like some of the annoying actors in there. The lead in Dashcam is the most annoying person in a horror movie I think I've ever seen. Like it was just grating. And it sucks because I think there's a lot of like cool ideas in Dashcam. So like it's like but ultimately I think it is just because of that. I think it's like a bad movie because I just cannot. You spend almost the entire movie from her POV. It's like a found footage movie. So you're with her this whole time, and it's just this awful human being who like is like rapping and just like gross and just is like a fucking piece of shit to everybody. And then it's like the whole time again, I'm like waiting for her to die. And I hate feeling like that, but like that's what it was. I was just like, man, I really cannot stand this girl. And then come to find out that like this chick is like an actual like rapper in real life, and that's why she was like freestyling in the movie, and like that was like real freestyles, and like she actually is like an anti-vaxxer and like piece of shit in real life. And I was just like, yeah, like I can't really like support this movie. Like this isn't I don't know what they were like. I just feel like it would have been a cool movie if they had like literally anybody else at the front of it. Like it was like a cool concept wasted on this chick, which I don't even know her name, don't even care to look at it up, but yeah, that's the last one I would say. So
right on. All right, I got a few I want to mention here too, really quick. Yeah, so one thing I didn't even see it, I just wanted to know if you saw it really quick, is that Jamie Foxx vampire movie that came out this year. I didn't watch it, but I hear it's bad. Okay, fair enough. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me it's good so I can check it out, because I'm a huge fan of Jamie Foxx. So hopefully,
I like him too.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I wanted to talk about, was a series that I was watching on Shudder. You probably heard about this. So it's Cursed Films. I thought is a really good series. Have you seen
Yes,
this?
yes,
It's
I loved it.
very interesting.
I thought it was awesome. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
for reference, I mean, for folks out there who haven't seen it, it's basically the darker version of the films that made us on Netflix. I mean, that's really what it is. And
yeah.
the Wizard of Oz episode was especially a
Oh
standout.
man.
I think that the
Yeah.
show's great. But yeah, it's on Shudder. I recommend this for everybody.
Season 2 I thought was even better.
Oh,
I think
definitely, yeah.
they really like I think season 1 they were kind of struggling to get their format right or what they
Uh-huh.
wanted to be about, and then season 2 I think they really like found their stride with some really good movies and some really fucked up backgrounds in some of these stories, and you know, whether or not you believe it's cursed or not is like kind of beside the point. It's just like you know, like really interesting movie history. And then you actually just reminded me too, that's the one thing I forgot too, is another Shutter series, horror series that I've been watching. I think the finale actually might have aired today. I gotta check. 101 Scariest Movie Moments.
Oh, nice. I'll have to check
They
that out.
did. I remember back in the day, I think AMC or one of those did
Hmm.
a thing like that,
Yeah,
and so this was like a riff on that, and they have like
nice.
people we talked about in there, like Edgar Wright and
Hmm.
you know, I'm trying to think, so like filmmakers, authors, actors, you know, like a lot of like people that like are behind Blumhouse, like Ryan Turek, I think his name is, the producer,
Uh-huh.
all giving their 101 scariest movie moments. There's a lot of good ones in it, so I'm interested to see what the top 10 will be. I think this episode today is the last 10, so
Yeah.
but it's been I've watched every episode so far, and they've had some really good picks and some movies I haven't seen that I'm like I've written down like I want to check out now.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to check that out. That one I did see a preview for and was definitely something I was intrigued by. So I'm going to check it out for sure based on your recommendation. So
Yeah.
something else I want to bring up. This is not a horror movie by any means, nor is it necessarily Halloween themed, but I
Yeah.
thought it was really good for the time of year and it just came out. It's Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. Now listen, um, like I said, it's not a horror thing or anything, but this has amazing atmosphere to it, and it's very dark compared to a lot of other Star Wars things that have come out. This is Dave Filoni telling 6 shorts based around the prequel era, and it actually fixed the Phantom
Okay.
Menace for me, which is not an easy thing to do. So, but he did base some stories around Phantom Menace. We do dive a lot into how Count Dooku turned to the dark side and stuff, and I found that stuff to be very dark and compelling.
Nice.
I know you didn't like the Bad Batch much, Cisco, and even I kind of fell off of it for a little bit there because I thought
Yeah.
it was just
I thought it
dipping
was
in quality.
okay. I
It's
mean,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
It's not peak Filoni. This is peak Filoni. This is the most
I saw the
confident he's ever felt.
I saw
Yeah,
the post like the when I was scrolling through Disney Plus, I did see this on there, but I didn't watch
yeah.
it. But
Six
yeah, I mean it's
shorts.
got really good reviews on IMDb.
It's
It's like
great.
really high.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I got it out there because, while it might not be Halloween themed, it's great for the time of year, maybe Thanksgiving more, but it definitely
Yeah.
has like fall atmosphere to it. Like he did a good job just with scenery, environments, and it definitely has a different take than a lot of these other
Yeah.
animated things he does. And I was really impressed by how dark it actually got and how compelling it actually was. So,
You actually, and then too, I just looked. Clancy Brown is in this,
mm-hmm.
and another thing I was just thinking about, the new Dexter series that came out this year on
Oh,
Showtime.
right, there was that. Did you like it? I
Yeah,
didn't watch it.
he's in it, and it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's better than, I mean, again, another not high bar, but like it's better than how the series ended, which was
yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
So they did kind of redeem it, even though like the ending of this new Dexter series, was still like that's the best you guys could come up with. Like,
yeah.
I was still like wish they kind of did something a little better, but even that was better than the original Dexter finale for sure.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. I'll have to see it. I haven't seen it yet, but I know that the original Dexter finale has not been in the highest of praises, so that's good that they kind of took a
Yeah.
little bit of redemption there. We are getting to
Oh,
the
yeah.
end here, guys, so I appreciate everybody joining. There's one last thing I want to ask you, Cisco, because every time
Yeah.
we do a Halloween special, I always extend this courtesy to everybody who joins. So I want to
Mhm.
make sure that you get it too, and that is, are there any horror movies that maybe a lot of people don't know about that you watch literally or usually around this time of the year that might be a little bit more unknown that you recommend to people, and it could be from any time?
Hmm. Dang, putting me on the spot here. Um, man, ones that I watched that many people don't know about.
Yeah. I could
Um,
go first if you need time to think real quick.
yeah,
Yeah,
go
sure.
first.
Okay.
Go first.
All right. So there's three I want to talk about for sure that a lot of people just definitely, I don't think really took to as much upon release, but I think should be kind of reappraised and checked out now. The first one I want to talk about is Mandy. I typically watch Mandy around this time of the year. I thought that
Okay.
movie, it's got great atmosphere. It's got a really amazing, kind of very unique Nicolas Cage performance. I thought that was definitely instrumental and just kind of comeback that he's making right now. So I definitely want to recommend Mandy. If you want that fall time atmosphere, it's a slow burn. So put it on when you're in a certain mood, but it's really, really good. I think Mandy is excellent. The second one I want to talk about is much more of a psychological deal, but it's Mulholland Drive from David Lynch. I definitely recommend if you
Okay.
guys haven't checked out
I
Mulholland
actually
Drive.
haven't seen that one. It's
Really,
on my list. Yeah.
it's got one of the best movie twists I've ever seen.
It's on the 101 scary movie moments though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. I love Lynch's work. Mulholland Drive is exceptional. Like I said, one of the best movie twists I've ever seen, and I highly recommend it for anybody who has not gone out of their way to check this one out. And the third one I already kind of touched on, but that's Horns. I think that Horns is not praised enough, but I think it really does give great fall time atmosphere. I think it's a very unique film, and I do recommend you guys check it out. It's got a really interesting performance from Daniel Radcliffe in it, so I really love Horns. Check it out if you haven't.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Cisco, if you have anything already, or if you
Yeah,
have any. Yeah, go ahead.
it's just tough because I don't know like what people haven't seen. Like even Mandy like is like a cult classic now.
Yeah,
Like people love that.
fair
So
enough.
I'll just say like and I don't really rewatch movies
Fair
necessarily
enough.
like as much as I like. But this time of year, I really just stick to the classics. I mean,
That's cool,
like
man. What are the
I've
classics
had
you stick to then?
I've had like the AMC channel and like Sci-Fi channel, and they've been playing like whoever did the programming this year. Like I've just been like really impressed with like the
Nice.
stuff they've been showing. Like
That's awesome.
and I'll just have it even if I'm like doing other stuff. Like I like they did the Halloween 1978 Halloween, always a
Oh
go-to for
yeah. Oh
me.
yeah.
Can watch it anytime, literally. It doesn't matter, I've seen it a million times. They were showing The Conjuring, and at one point they did Get Out, I saw was playing.
Nice.
um they did Tremors, which like
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
I guess that one doesn't get like as much love
No, no, definitely
in
not.
terms of other franchises, but that first one with Kevin Bacon
Oh
I think
yeah.
is really fun.
Oh yeah.
So maybe that can be like a good answer in terms of like not having been seen by a lot of people.
Oh,
And
did you?
then
Oh, go
they
ahead.
did the whole Final Destination franchise like one day. I was like just all day I was doing like work at home, and then they did the final, and I watched literally the whole franchise like and it's a great franchise. So I was like just having a ball
Yeah,
like
they're fun.
looking up from my work to see like the next kill, and then like
Yeah.
going back to my work.
Yeah, those
So
are
yeah,
definitely fun. I was gonna ask you, as you mentioned Kevin Bacon. That's one we missed.
yeah,
They Them. Did you watch that this year?
I
I
haven't
heard that.
seen
I
that
heard that
either, but
was really
I
good. Some people thought it
okay,
was good. Yeah. So
yeah.
let's check it out.
So
Yeah.
it's
No.
on my watch list too, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Got to check it out. I think it's on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely want
Okay,
to watch
yeah, I
it.
think that's right. I think because
Yeah.
I did the trial for Halloween Ends again.
Yeah.
So I gotta check out what I can watch there. I think the new Idris Elba 2 movies on there,
Beast. That's right.
Beast,
Yeah.
which I guess is kind of a thriller. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
I do want to check that out too. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. All right, guys. Look, that's been the end of this Halloween special. This has been actually a lot of fun. I was happy to have you
Oh
back,
yeah.
dude. I've been
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
we've been waiting on this
Been too
moment to
long.
happen for a while. Has been too long. Don't be a stranger. Come back for sure. You're
No,
always
for
welcome.
sure. We gotta do this more.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and you haven't done a lot of podcasts lately, but I think you still got it,
Nah.
man. And I'm so happy that you're
Yeah,
coming in
thank
here
you.
and
Yeah,
committing to it, dude.
I'll just plug, movie buffs.
All
Although
right.
we don't have new episodes going on, like we were going strong for like a year plus
Yeah.
up until this summer. So you can go back and listen, and our episodes are on like iTunes and all that. So
Nice.
definitely like go check, like if you're into action movies and stuff like that. Shani B, like my co-host, she's great,
Very
and so like
talented. Yeah.
yeah, it was fun while it lasted. So, and I do hope like I can go back to doing some podcasting or something soon. But
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
been so crazy, man. Two jobs, and
I know.
back in school now, so it's just like literally zero free time. Like even right now, it's just like to get these 2 hours off. It's like
Yeah,
so
dude.
much,
No, I get you.
so much.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we have an open door policy around here for you, so you're always welcome
haha,
back. And yeah, I'll plug something for you too, guys. Just go check out his Saturday matinee episodes on stereo as
oh
well,
yeah,
because
Saturday matinee too.
oh my gosh, that was my favorite thing in the world when you guys did that. Like I always listen to the replays even if I didn't catch live, because I
Yeah,
thought you and Edwin had a real good groove even when you disagreed.
yeah,
That was easily when it was the best is when you guys
yeah.
disagreed. So
Oh
always
yeah,
made me
I would
laugh.
recommend. I'd see some episodes. Famously disagreed. Godzilla versus Kong episode.
I remember that.
Malignant
Yeah.
episode is a classic. Uh, there was a couple. Mortal Kombat. We split on that. Yeah, I mean there was a lot of times. I mean for every one movie we agreed, there was like three we didn't agree on.
Right.
So, but it was
Yeah.
fun. It
No,
was fun.
absolutely. No, I loved that show, man. I wish it would come back, but I know there's
Yeah,
extenuating circumstances, and
yeah.
it's all good. But yeah, dude. No, is there anything else? You're on Letterbox now, you said, that you
Yeah,
wanted to kind of get
letterboxed.
into?
I'm misfit underscore minded. That's like my Instagram too.
Yes, it's right
So
here, by the way, on the bottom right, so people could see it for you.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, on Instagram and Twitter, and then yeah, rampage underscore misfit on Twitter. All
yeah.
that good stuff.
Yeah. You guys can find me on the bottom right there as well at Dom underscore Martino underscore on Instagram, Dom underscore Martino underscore official. Thank you guys so much for joining this Halloween special. I was glad that Cisco was able to make it for this one,
A lot of good
especially.
movies this year.
This
Great
has
year.
been a crazy year for horror, and a much
Yeah.
bigger year. I'm looking forward to seeing what 2023 can bring. I don't know if it could top this year though. It's going to
Man.
be tough. It's going to
I
be
mean,
tough.
even the fact that we could go 2 hours plus
I know.
just talking about
So
just
much.
horror movies from this year says a lot about how many good. And even if I didn't like all of them,
Right.
the fact that it's so popular, the genre is more alive right now than it ever has been,
It's
makes me
true.
very happy. So,
Absolutely, man. Especially after the pandemic drought, it's wonderful to have it
oh
back
yeah.
and to get me even in a groove again to where I want to watch a lot of
Uh-huh.
horror. So that's wonderful. Also, guys, make sure you do go follow us on Spotify. This episode will be up there as well. Much appreciated. It does help us out quite a bit if you guys can go over there, comment, review, do all that. Tell Cisco how much you loved him on the show because he needs to come back. And we love having him here. So thank you again, Cisco, and thank you to the
Awesome.
audience. I'm
Thanks,
glad you
Dom.
guys could be here, and we will talk to you guys later. Like, subscribe, do all that.